We are live. And apparently, I don't know when the update come out, but apparently it's out now. But I will continue collecting fishes. And yeah, let's see. There is. Let's see. What do we have? P1 had done the prediction on 25 grid, and we have something of Daniel Ricciardo from the race. And maybe some talk from the 2026 F1 car. But yeah, we should we go do like we always do. This was a weird place to end up. 1,503. 2,700. Really? Is that really that? Is that really? Uh, 1,503, yes. So we need to do maybe one more counting before 1,700 to make sure that is really we really are at 1,700. But yeah, let's continue. Nope. Not on. No, still no fish. Come on, give me a start. On fish, where I can start at. So I feel like this have starting the collection have started. Nope. Man, this is kind of boring. Still no fish for the collection. Nope, still no. Still no fish for the collection. So let's see. The thumbnail on the P1's prediction video. Color Science must have been on it. Who more can have been on it? Let's see. Oh, Esteban Ogone and Joe. And I feel like... Oh shit! time for some collecting salmon. Oh, new music for the update. It sounds like. But I would say, I believe if Color Science goes to Williams, I feel like Esteban Ogone can then go to Audi. But I feel like Haas is maybe the most possible. Because do Audi really want Esteban Ogone? Let's see. You're going to Alpine. Oh, there we have the first fish for this stream. A spotty brown lime. Yeah, now we can see what they have.
Our prediction: 2025 F1 grid.
Oh, zombie.
So we're going to dive straight into it then and go in reverse alphabetical order because we're fun like that. We like to be edgy. So we're going to start with Williams. Now, of course.
But I'm really hoping Mick Schumacher or Drugovic will get into Formula 1 also. So it can be Oliver Bearman, Bearman and Antonelli. Oh, one more fish for the black grey. Done fucking Jack Why? But sure. Okay, let's see.
Alexander Albon is already signed, sealed, delivered. He is contracted. But who is taking that second seat?
Drugovic.
I am going to lock in Carlos Sainz. Now,
see, Carlos Sainz. I mean, that's if we don't take the Audi deal. Oh, Mick Schumacher to Audi. 2 Germans. I mean, that could happen. Then Jürgen to Alpine. And then Alpine becomes Lotus in the future. I mean, that could happen.
Now, of course, there is discussion around him going to...
If... I feel like Carlos Sainz will 100% go to Williams if Andy Newey comes out and say that I will be in Williams. Then I feel like he will 100% be there. But if not, then Audi.
Kick Sauber, maybe even like Haas.
Don't say Kick Sauber, it's Audi.
But he's basically
No
not
Haas.
really got a lot of great choices available to him now. Red Bull have obviously said, nah, mate, you're not coming here. Mercedes have pretty much said, no, we're not interested in you either, which is savage.
Oh shit, one more fish for the collection. This looks like grey. White, no. White, light grey. So not 100% light grey or 100% white. That's boring.
But for Carlos, this is unfortunately the situation he's been presented with. So I think Williams, obviously I think Logan's gone, so I think that Carlos Sainz, with James Vowles at the helm, Williams, I think they are building up to something to at least get into the sort of top of the midfield. And look, it's going to be
and if Andrew Newey joins, then I will really be up there. Then I will be Williams and Aston Martin, the future, the fight and the future teams that will fight each other for maybe on podium or good points in races.
Engine formula from 2026. They're going to have a Mercedes in the back of that. Maybe Sainz fancies a little bit of that. So yeah, I'm going to lock him in.
So, of course, Alex Albon is staying in my lineup as well. And I've gone for...
Or is that one more fish for the
Valtteri
tick?
Bottas.
No, no, Valtteri Bottas is out. Like, I feel like... I mean, he could, yes, but man, why? No. I feel like Bottas should just... You should leave Formula 1 and just start biking everywhere. Oh, more fishes for the collection. Grey, red, sunstreak, and flopper, orange, yellow. No, Bottas, no.
Bottas going back to Williams.
No.
He's an experienced driver. He's won
Experienced, but not good.
races. He knows James. And I can see, like, Williams need experience now. They need to grow. Alex Albon.
Yeah, they need experience, not people that will stop driving some years.
Has committed to Williams.
I'm not like Kym Illman. The only reason why he was capped because he was good enough, but not because he was really good at that moment.
And they can build that team around him.
And I
now.
feel Valtteri Bottas is like at that time also.
And Bottas is a good, solid choice, I think.
Okay, let's go to Kick Sauber then, where...
Oh, Trident!
Apothic red.
Go away, Ad. Oh, can we start with that Trident also? Fuck me, I hate when they are fucking going in places where it's harder to hit them directly. No Trident, but did I see? Is there maybe bug speed bug? Can a bug where it felt like they throw really fast, can that be gone? Oh shit.
Rätt vin från...
Go away. Sound. Yeah, go back now.
Kick Sauber then, where, of course, Nico Hülkenberg has signed from next year. And I am going to lock in for my second driver, but Valtteri Bottas is staying.
No!
I think that he is...
He will not stay.
He's beating Zhou quite comprehensively.
And
I know that Zhou has all these little bits of bad luck that people love to highlight to us in driver ratings. But also Bottas, he might be well having the season of his life finishing 15th in that car. But we don't know. I mean, he's beating his teammate. So maybe Bottas isn't as washed as we all thought, and that car is actually just horrendous. But either or, I think Valtteri could easily stay. And then you've got a lineup of Hülkenberg and Bottas, which is strong. Both of them have had their moments of moments in the sun. Obviously, Hülkenberg not so much, especially on the podium. But maybe that will change. I hope it will change before he retires. But I think that's a strong lineup. So I don't see that it couldn't be a possibility for Sauber.
Unsurprisingly, Kick Sauber, I've gone for Nico Hülkenberg and Carlos Sainz. It's amazing how now the Kick Sauber option has arrived.
Wait, what the fuck did he pick? Yeah, Carlos Sainz to Audi. I believe that could... I believe more that could happen than Bottas stay.
And it's one of the only options that Carlos can get. I'm almost less convinced by it because they're so awful this year. And you've got to think that that's what Sainz is thinking about. That, sure, the lure of Audi, and I do think Audi... I don't think they're going to do a Brawn GP. I don't think they're going to do a Mercedes in 2014 where suddenly they're the best team on the grid. But surely, if their engine's good and it's an engine formula, you want to have, a works engine in the back of your car, and Audi are going to pump a lot of money into it surely. and it is basically a case of a punt on Audi being really, really good and just enduring the pain. But what pain it's going to be, because my word, Sauber are even worse than I could have possibly imagined this year.
Next up, Red Bull. Why don't you kick us off, Tommy, with your
Wait, it's just Max Verstappen and Perez.
your two drivers?
I have gone for Max Verstappen and
No way.
no, Sergio
No
Perez.
way. They're not going to bin him off before this.
No,
next
they
year.
are. They're not. But it's so funny because I was like, yep, they're locked in. And then maybe it's just the timing we're doing this. People could look back on this in 3 months' time and Perez has completely turned around his form. And we're like, what are you even saying? He's got a contract. But if we're here in 3 months' time and he's having the same races he did in Monaco and Canada for the
One
next
more
3
fish for the
months,
collection. Play fish
contracts
brown
can be broken. We know this. But
It can, but if you break it, will someone else leave? I mean, could the contract be because Max Verstappen will stay? And if the contract breaks, will he leave? I mean, could that happen?
no, I've gone for what they have said it will be.
I have also locked in Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. I think that if we're looking towards 2026, then it's a different story if Perez continues this form. But it would just be far too expensive for Red Bull to promise Perez this contract that they've, for some reason, signed very early in the season as of right now. So they're clearly locking him in for 25, and then, yeah, that +1 that obviously Christian Horner sort of let slip, rather than it being a 2-year deal, suggests that they still are looking at the market, but I don't think they'll make changes soon. RB now. Of course, Yuki Tsunoda is signed. Tommy, what are the two that you've gone for?
I have gone for
Oh yeah, RB. I think Lawson. Yuki Tsunoda will stay and Lawson will leave and get promotion.
Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo.
No,
I know Daniel's had a tough season, but whatever way you look at Formula One, it's sometimes not always about performance. And Daniel Ricciardo,
it is.
I think, will
One more
stay. It
fish
sounds
for the
like he
collection.
is going to be one of the favourites. The team
Green,
still really love him
red,
despite his
clayfish.
performance, and he's a good benchmark for Yuki Tsunoda. Do I agree?
Good benchmark. He's bad now, so he's not a benchmark. He's benchmark how not to be. If you're slower than this, you're 100% out. Is that kind of benchmark?
That they should do this? No. I think Lawson really does deserve a chance. You know, you can't really do much more than what he did when he was given that opportunity in very difficult circumstances to come in mid-season, and he did everything and more. But I do believe that they're going to stick with them.
For my RB,
Lawson in Alpha Tauri and Ricciardo to Williams.
up, I have gone for Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. I am of the same opinion. I think that Red Bull have been very open, especially in the with the communication of Helmut Marko, with how perhaps drivers bring more to the table than just their on-track performances, and I think Daniel Ricciardo is exactly the same. I don't think Red Bull, as much as Liam Lawson did a great job, were blown away by what he did, because otherwise they would make the change. That's, for me, how I see it, but for some reason I just have it in my head that they're not willing to take that risk with Tsunoda and Lawson in a lineup, but instead would rather have Ricciardo, and rather than a Tsunoda and Lawson, which I think could
Maybe.
bubble over to be one of these, I'm trying to do better than you, I will do anything in my power to do it. Let's go to Mercedes then. Of course, George Russell.
Ooh, Mercedes Antonelli, 100% Antonelli. I can't see why Mercedes would wanna even waste any time in another car for Antonelli, when they can waste in a bad car, okay, Mercedes. Oh, one more fish for the collection on glitter grey yellow. And nope. So for me, 100% Antonelli. Can't see any reason why they will pick anything else.
Has signed, and alongside him in the Antonelli, I'm mainly going for this because Toto Wolff has openly said that they're focusing on Antonelli, basically. And he's not in a car at the moment that's really, stealing headlines in Formula 2. They've been struggling, if anything. He's not been out there winning every race or really sort of continuing that hyper momentum. If anything, I think it's died down a lot from what, Antonelli in F2.
But yeah, that could be 100% because the team is so bad.
All these reports of, Antonelli drove Catalonia and was 2.5 seconds quicker than everybody else. All of that's kind of died down, but I still think that Toto is fully tunnel visioning to Antonelli. And look, it'll be a very exciting lineup to see. And it looks as if that's...
And they aren't top team. They aren't like 100% winning races. 50% of the races. They have nothing to lose, and if they can win, it will probably still be George Russell. So why not have Antonelli in the other car?
Way they're going at
One
the
of fish
So
flopped
I've also
black
gone
and brown.
for George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. I do agree the hype has died down massively. He's not kind of hit the ground running like George Russell or Charles Leclerc did when in that series, but they know when a driver is that good and that there's something there that they see. And you can argue that some drivers have come in and maybe not set the world alight. And then also, let's look what Max Verstappen did. They took a risk. A lot of people said he was too young, couldn't do it. There's a lot of pressure to basically even say that he could be the next Max Verstappen. But that is what Mercedes clearly see in him.
What about McLaren? So I'm going for Norris and Piastri.
Norris, no shine yet, so why should it be?
I think that they're a great driver lineup. McLaren have hit the nail on the head with these two. They are willing to work together. I don't think Piastri has got any sort of ego compared to other drivers on the grid. He's happy to be driving for McLaren. Of course, maybe if he gets on par with Norris.
And he knows when he's outmatched. And he accepting that, hey, today I'm not good enough. My tires is too bad. Lando Norris can get this. My time will come. When I feel like I'm better at taking care of the tires, then I can maybe start taking what do you say? Take some action.
Norris in race trim all the time, then perhaps that will change. But for now, it's a beautiful lineup, and
One
they don't
more
want to
fish
touch
for the
that.
collection.
Indeed. I've gone for the same.
Green
McLaren
light.
have hit the jackpot with these two. They work well together. They're both incredibly quick. There doesn't seem to be any sort of animosity at the moment. Whether there will be if they deliver a championship-winning car. We saw what happened with, like Rosberg and Hamilton, for example. But no, this is such a good driver lineup, and they will definitely stick with it. I could see these two staying at McLaren for years, personally.
Let's go to Haas then, Tommy. Who have you got?
It's
No! Go away, Ed! We don't want you! Let's see. Haas. Who would I pick? Let's see. Who have I picked for the others? Who I believe most? I mean, Oliver Berman, I feel like the deal will be so good for Haas that they probably 100% want to have him there, even if they maybe don't want that. But I don't see Kevin Magnussen still be in Formula 1. I feel like Esteban Ogone is like the most likely person to be in that team. So Esteban Ogone.
I have gone for
And Oliver Berman.
a whole new lineup of Ollie Behrman and Esteban Ocon.
True.
I was umming and ahhing about the fact that Magnussen might stay because he's been a very good teammate and the team do really like him despite him being a bit chaotic. But I have gone that Ocon will replace him. I think that would be a very strong lineup for Haas to move forward, and quite an exciting lineup because it's something like a complete refresh, new era. You know, they've got a new team principal. They're looking surprisingly good to what we all expected. And Behrman obviously did a great job in Saudi and looks like he'll get promoted.
I am going to lock in Andrew Behrman and Esteban Ocon. I think that Behrman and Ocon would be a powerful lineup, a really good one. Like Ollie Behrman is...
Yeah, fuck me. Let's see, if Carlos Sainz joins... Oh, that would be amazing. If Carlos Sainz joins Audi, man, it would be amazing. Mick Schumacher to Williams. And... see, Carlos Sainz to Audi, Mick Schumacher to Williams. Or if Carlos Sainz goes to Williams, Mick Schumacher goes to Audi. What more can happen? And Jürgen you to Alpine.
Highly regarded.
And then Alpine becomes Lotus in the future.
A lot of potential. Obviously, with Ocon and any teammate, it can get a little bit spicy. So whether we'll see the non-polite and, oh, hi, my name's Ollie Behrman, nice to meet you all, and it'll bring out, you know, the dog, then potentially. Ferrari! Tommy, who are you going for?
I've gone for
Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. I know it's been months and months, and we've still got months and months to wait before it happens, but I don't want to wish away this season because it's been really good, but boy, am I looking forward to seeing Hamilton at Ferrari. Still doesn't feel real until I see him in those red overalls in the first race of the season.
Yes.
And he will get them a construction championship. Not a driver championship, but a construction. So it will be Ferrari versus Red Bull
Surprisingly,
2022.
Hamilton and Leclerc as well. It is the strongest lineup on the grid, and it is such an exciting time to be a Ferrari fan. And I cannot wait. I'm exactly the same as you, Tommy. Look, we've got quite an interesting 2024 season, but 2025 I think is going to be even more exciting. So I cannot wait for that. Aston Martin. My two drivers are, of course, Fernando Alonso, and this might all surprise you, but my second driver is Lawrence
Yeah, Lawrence Stroll, sure.
Stroll. Yes, that's correct. So
I hope Drugovich.
Lawrence is going to kick his son out
No, Yuki Tsunoda.
and be like, look, let me have a go. And actually, he's going to be pretty decent and be on par with Fernando. Of course, Lance Stroll is actually, for those that don't detect sarcasm, is going to be the second driver on the grid for Aston
Until 2026, then Yuki Tsunoda will
Martin.
take over.
And it is a non-change.
I have gone for Fernando Alonso and Chloe Stroll. No, I've gone for Lance Stroll, of course. Stroll, yeah, staying on. It'll be very interesting to see how that does develop, though, with the likes of Honda coming in and being that works team. Whether Alonso does decide to stay on forever, or if they try and get like a Yuki Tsunoda in or something like that.
I hope Yuki Tsunoda will get it
yeah,
right.
Could be fascinating, but for now, as normal, no surprise.
And finally, Alpine. My two drivers
Jürgen Yu and Gasly.
for the 2025 grid are Pierre Gasly and Liam Lawson. I think that with Alpine they will see an opportunity to try and save a little bit of face, because there's been a lot of fires going on in Alpine recently, and they need to sign someone exciting to get them back on track. And I know it is him leaving the Red Bull program, but I think he'll feel reasonably disrespected by the fact that he hasn't been given that opportunity despite coming in last minute and showing that he has got a lot of potential. I think that's an exciting sign if Alpine can decide or persuade Liam Lawson that it isn't all just fires.
So for Alpine, and I'm between two drivers, and I'm going to make the decision on the spot as I say it. Pierre Gasly and Zhou Guanyu. I know. I cannot believe it's between, in my head, and I really do genuinely believe this, it's between Zhou and Doohan, and I think...
No, Doohan have no
Zhou,
reason
money
to be
talks, there's a lot more to it, like, like we've said through many of these drivers, a lot more to it than just who's the best driver. And boy, has Zhou not delivered for absolutely ages now. Yet all these musical chairs and the kind of crazy silly season, I just keep getting to Alpine and I'm just like, I don't know. No, I really thought I was so not so convinced, but I was like, Yuki's perfect. That'd be such a good lineup if they wanted to go something a bit left field. But now he's signed on. It is a case of like, who do they go for? Mick Schumacher? Probably not.
Yes, he would.
Doohan's next in line. Doohan could get it just from the fact that he is a proper, like, the right place at the right time with a junior.
No, well, Jürgen Joe is also in the, well, it was in the Unity
category. I'm like 51% Zhou, 49% Doohan personally.
Wow, and 0% Mick. So the thing I would say
Mick have a bigger chance than fucking Jack Doohan. Shut the fuck up.
Is it would be, for me, Alpine would think, look, Zhou is performing very badly. Why would we sign him? Of course, you say about the money things, which perhaps if that is what they need, then that'll boost his chances. Doohan, I don't know. I can't see it happening. I genuinely can't. I think that he's just kind of there as a placeholder, which is sad to say because he's a really nice guy and clearly, great PR trained, all that sort of stuff. And he's always here.
Latifi was also nice guy.
And everywhere. But for me, I think it would be Lawson, Schumacher, Doohan, and then Zhou for me. I don't see it with Zhou or Doohan. In a nutshell, we have no idea.
Yes.
But let us know what your 2025 predictions are in the comments if you're on YouTube or on social media. And that is it. We are done. Next up will be the Spanish Grand Prix prediction.
Oh shit! I want to see that. Don't put that back on. Let's see my prediction. Where do we have paint? We need information. I wanna see. Then we go back to this one. And we click that. And we change this one. And to this one. And then we let's see, what do I have? Can start with the teams I somewhat like. Okay, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, yes. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, 2025, yeah. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. Let's see. Would I pick Carlos Sainz and Hülkenberg? Eller Hülkenberg is in the team now. Will Carlos Sainz go to Audi? Also, that's the problem. I feel like it's 50-50. If Andy Newey goes to Williams, Carlos Sainz will probably go 100% to Williams. If Andy Newey doesn't go to Williams, he will probably go to Audi. Let's see. Esteban Ocon and Oliver Bearman. Oh wait, they picked. Let's see. Valtteri Bottas and Nico Hülkenberg. No, I don't believe in Valtteri Bottas. I believe more in Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg. Williams, Alexander Valtteri. No, I don't believe in Valtteri Bottas. I mean, Drugovic, Mick Schumacher, whatever. Let's see, Haas, Oliver Bearman, Oliver Bearman and Esteban Ocon, I would say is 100% happen. George Russell and Antonelli 100% happen. Probably. Oh yeah, for 2025. Oh, maybe. Yeah, we say Yuki Tsunoda and... Oh no, we don't have Jogan Joe. Jogan Joe. And McLaren. Landon Norris and Oscar Piastri. Let's see, Jogan Joe, where do we have him? There we have Jogan Joe. I'm like, could this happen? Lotus and Volvo. Jogan Joe and Dino Beganovic. 2025. Probably not the Drugovic, Sally, but probably... No, go away. Let's move Mick Schumacher. And then we have Jogan Yu. Could this more likely happen? But this I was more hoping to have Jogan Yu and Mick Schumacher. I mean, I feel like if Esteban Ogone or Bema is a haas, I don't think people will want to have Kevin Magnussen. And I don't feel like Valtteri Bottas is someone to keep either. And Logan Sargent is also out. Well, he's 100% out. I'm now hoping that Mick Schumacher can come back into Formula 1. And this, this could be so amazing if you get their Formula eller Alpine seat. It could then in the future become Lotus. It will be so perfect, and then it can become a Chinese team. So let's. Let's save it, and this is what I think will be. I'm hoping Schumacher to Williams, but will that happen? Maybe, maybe not. But hopefully. So yeah, back to collecting fishes.
Or doing. In a nutshell, we have no idea. But let us know what your 2025 predictions are in the comments if you're on YouTube or on social media. And that is it. We are done. Next up will be the Spanish Grand Prix predictions. Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are that I think you could ask me until the very last second. I still will have no idea who's going to Alpine. So just I want to see some rogue choices for Alpine.
Okay.
And they'll just like spin a wheel in the factory and just go. What if they did a driver rotation program?
I believe Mick Schumacher and Jürgen Joe is most likely. I mean, Mick Schumacher is already in the Alpine driving. He already drives for Alpine. Jürgen Joe had some connection with Alpine before. And their Chinese money, and maybe they could, I mean, that Lotus comeback dream can maybe happen. Then maybe more people from China will start joining Alpine to make them great again. So I believe in them before even Jack Doohan have anything to say.
Graham, where like one driver gets a seat, one
I think
race.
they'd have to have a list of people that actually would want to drive for Alpine first if they were going to do that. So. Right, that is it. See you very soon.
Mick Schumacher and Jürgen Joe.
Bye.
Okay, go away. Go away. Let's see. What do we have now? It should be the race. There. Well, what? It was Daniel Ricciardo. Will he stay in? Man, so many ads. Go away. So mean. What next for Daniel Ricciardo after Red Bull F1 reaction? No, reaction. I mean, hopefully saying Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team. But if he's not good enough, maybe not.
From dreams of a return to a top
Yeah, but then he need to become
F1
better.
seat to needing to justify staying on the grid at all, Daniel Ricciardo's not done enough with his second chance at Red Bull, and he knows it. The news that Red Bull Racing will keep Sergio Perez alongside Max Verstappen for 2025 and has given itself the contractual option to do so again in 2026 was a dagger to Ricciardo's hopes of getting back to the team he won 7 races with across 2014 to 2018. That snub is a vote of no confidence from Red Bull's top brass and comes down to Ricciardo's underwhelming performance, given he has so many off-track arguments in his favour. He ticks a lot of boxes with his profile, commercial appeal, experience, a good relationship with Verstappen, and also a new...
That I would believe it could happen. He will be signed on and be like what Alex Albon was in 2021. He's the third driver. So that could happen. If he's not good enough, Liam Lawson take the drive, and then he's the third driver for Red Bull and be the simulator driver, probably. If he doesn't become better in the the fuck do you say? Start performing better than Tsunoda.
Found gratitude since Red Bull brought him back into the fold last year after his dismal McLaren stint. We have doubts about Perez's suitability.
Oh my, it was... No, what the fuck did he say? He was 2021 in Monaco. His teammate Lando Norris. Oh, what is it called? He was, I mean, I overtaken, but the fuck did he say? He was lapped by Lando Norris in Monaco. I mean, that's something. And then also the same year he also won a race. It's like, how can you have so bad races and then that amazing race?
When the going gets tough for Red Bull, and felt like his dip in form made it a strange time to give him the new contract. He only underlined that with an utterly abject Canadian Grand Prix.
Wait, DNF? Oh, okay, I thought they were talking about Daniel Ricciardo, but no, it's Perez. Yeah, that's... I hope he will stop the getting... I mean, a DNF, not even points. Fuck.
But it shows just how inconsistent things have been for Ricciardo, who actually did have a
oh my
good
God,
Canada weekend.
No.
That there's no
Fuck me.
competitive argument.
Man. One more salmon for the fucking lame, worthless salmon collection. It's do nothing but a... Why not collect some salmon when you see them? And it's... I don't know why, but for some reason it's rare to see salmon being here. I mean, seeing cod is normal, seeing tropical fish is normal, but salmon, no, that's a actual highlight. It's more easily to collect fucking 1,503 different tropical fish and then is collecting salmon in this area. Fucking weird. I mean, I have not even one chest full of salmon collected. And I 1,503 tropical fishes. And that's also without even counting the fish that I collected today. Or will collect today also. Man, some stuff is weird. It's more rare to, I mean, it's more rare to see one of the different pandas that exist than the brown panda. It's like, how can that happen? The brown panda should be even more rare, but no. And more common than this other panda for some reason.
To have promoted him over Perez. Given what it was meant to achieve, Ricciardo's second F1 career is failing at the moment, and he knows that's true. He's trying not to view the Perez news as proof he won't ever get a chance at Red Bull again, but is holding himself accountable for missing out on this chance. Ricciardo admits he hasn't done enough to really raise hairs, and when you're trying to fight for a top seat, you need to be doing some pretty awesome things.
Yeah, be better than Yuki Tsunoda. That's probably the problem.
He's not done that nearly enough. And the reality is that while he still says he'd love to finish his career at Red Bull, he knows that at least in the short term, it's not going to happen.
Well, you finish almost in Red Bull. It's the Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team that you will finish probably in. I mean, that's part of the Red Bull team. And you sign as a Red Bull driver probably. Oh shit. What do they even talk about? What next for Daniel Ricciardo? What next? What next was he will not go to Red Bull. Yeah, man, that's somewhat. How bad has it really been? I would say really bad. Should he be on the grid? Probably not. RB seat at risk. if you keep being bad, I would say Liam Lawson can take his place.
As we say, and he admits, Ricciardo's 2024 has overall been disappointing. In fact, the vast majority of his time alongside Yuki Tsunoda has been. In the 16 events he and Tsunoda have competed in as teammates since Ricciardo returned to the F1 grid in the middle of 2023, Tsunoda...
Okay, let's see. Grid 11.8, 13.2. Okay, that doesn't look nice. I mean, let's see, 8, 1.3, and Ricardo have 2, 8. Okay, Tsunoda is doing better in that thing and also scoring more points. 2023. How is now in the Formula 1 stuff? Results, driver. Yuki Tsunoda have 19 points and Daniel Ricciardo have 9 points. So for now, just 10 points more.
It is 1.4 grid places better off on average, 1.9 places better off on average finishing positions, and has scored 34 points to Ricciardo's 15. In 2024, those numbers get more damning for Ricciardo. Tsunoda's averaging a grid position of 10.0 compared to Ricciardo's 12.7, and on finishing positions, it's 10.6 for Tsunoda and 12.1 for Ricciardo. And that's despite Canada, where Ricciardo qualified 5th.
Oh shit, no, now they showed it. Okay. And it's almost the same with the 2 position difference, right? Yeah, 11, 8, 3, 2, and his 0
and 12.1 for Ricciardo. And that's despite Canada, where Ricciardo qualified 5th and finished 8th, giving his numbers a big assist. He's still starting on average 1 or 2 rows further back and giving himself too much to do, whereas Tsunoda is a proven consistent...
Yeah, man, what if he start qualifying really good? Then the points will just rain in.
Points threat, despite the car only being 6th fastest. It's one thing to post those numbers against a megastar, but clearly Red Bull doesn't think that of Tsunoda. Otherwise, he'd be in the top seat instead of
Could
Perez.
that be one more
What's
fish for the
vexing
collection?
Ricciardo is that there have been those fleeting bright sparks,
And it is
which you can see he's desperate to cling on to when it
grey,
is going well.
yellow
Think about
flopper.
Mexico last year when Ricciardo finished 7th, his 4th place in this year's Miami Sprint, and of course that last race in Canada. Ricciardo's admitted he needs to prove that the peaks can become the norm, rather than just the odd weekend where he's feeling good or the stars align for him. And he's still talking...
No, Jürgen, you're 1 lap down. And this was Canada, the Canadian Grand Prix. Huh. Man, what's happening with Jürgen, you and Stake F1 team Kick Sauber?
About needing to make sure there are no questions, doubts or concerns when he gets in the car, with hints of being overworked lately on the marketing side potentially feeding into that. Ricciardo revealed he went through what he described as some self-therapy after the Monaco Grand Prix, having questioned things he might be doing wrong away from the track. Ricciardo is such a major commercial asset to Red Bull, the RB team and its partners.
So why not keep him as the 3rd driver for Red Bull then? So he can be in the simulator. And still be 1 more fish for the collection. I mean, I found out 2 more tropical fish with some special colors. And I still just got 1 salmon. And this is the first salmon I got today. So, and it can also be the last. Well, so the spawn rate for salmon in this area is really weird. No, look, more cod.
But the indication is he's been feeling stretched from too many extra activities, a sentiment he's...
So maybe stop driving and just 100% be the face for the team and then do simulation. And then Liam Lawson can be in the Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team.
Also expressed in the past with other teams. He invited his team and close contacts to give him constructive criticism and asked them, what do you think is going wrong? Which he says led to a very open chat.
Maybe Ricciardo and Perez should be do stuff together to maybe help each other to become better in Formula 1. Remember therapy session for them both.
And a weight off his chest going into Canada. Ricciardo doesn't think it's a coincidence this weekend immediately felt smoother. He's trying very hard to acknowledge his role in all this rather than send the team down rabbit holes looking for cures to car problems that might not actually be there. That's a little bit of a legacy of his concern over whether he had a hidden chassis problem earlier in the year.
Oh, or what they did in McLaren. He tried so hard to fix problems, so it was maybe even worse because of that than he maybe would have been if he just chill out and try not to outperform the car.
Which his inconsistent form since getting a different chassis at the Chinese Grand Prix would indicate wasn't the case.
The fucking Stroll crashed into him and then the chassis can be broken again. No, that's sometimes never lucky. Can that be one more fish for the collection? I mean, it can be, but will it? Green lime stripy. No.
The team never found anything about that first chassis that wasn't working as it should be. But it also hints he's desperate to avoid a McLaren-esque situation, where he's having to consciously think about his driving style too much and can never hope to drive naturally. He thinks he has the speed in this car, it's other stuff he needs to get right so he can access that speed more consistently.
No, I will maybe be over soon.
Smaken av dolce vita.
Yeah. Oh yeah, fucking House of the Dragon will be released, I believe today. Sometime today. It's maybe, I mean, it can be 17 hours until then, but hey, sometime today. Now we have House of the Dragon. Fucking do. Oh shit, I can't skip this. Fuck me. So how bad has it really been? Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, now, should he be on the grid? Let's see what the race think about that. Probably not. What are you...
It's not just Perez who Ricciardo's watched have his future secured. Red Bull's unsurprisingly taken up...
And man, sorry, Perez. Man, I feel like that must be something... sorry, Perez... feel like it could be the reason why Sergio Perez still got the contract is because if Max Verstappen if they want to keep Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez must stay also. If he leaves, Max will also leave.
Its option to keep Tsunoda at RB for 2025, an announcement that featured no word on Ricciardo, even though Red Bull has an option on him too. Instead, Ricciardo continues to be the subject of reminders from Red Bull Motorsport advisor Helmut Marko that his performances this year haven't been good enough. And he was over-dramatically slated by 1997.
You over-dramatic stuff. Jack Villeneuve just said how it was.
World champion and Sky Sports F1 pundit Jacques Villeneuve during the Montreal weekend. Villeneuve piled into the excuses.
I mean, I heard the race talking point on Alonso's way of making George Russell lose downforce and then crash. One more fish for the collection. Lime light grey flopper.
excuses being made for Ricciardo and his teams needing to make the car better for him, and even claimed Ricciardo's image has kept him in F1 more than his actual results. This became a massive talking point and showed there is a vocal part of F1's fanbase that feels the same after Ricciardo's very disappointing time at McLaren, his inconclusive parts season in 2023, and how he has trailed Tsunoda so much in 2024. Ultimately, as blunt as Villeneuve was, much of what he said is well supported by the results of the past few seasons. Where Villeneuve went too far is when he dismissed the quality of Ricciardo's Red Bull years and claimed he stopped beating anyone after half a season alongside Verstappen. That's plain wrong and just seemed unnecessary.
Look, plain wrong.
Given how good Ricciardo was in 2024.
You sure about that? Why didn't he give him information on why he's wrong? Then just
2014 and 2016 was winning races while Verstappen struggled as late as early 2018 and was then excellent over 2 years at Renault. Yes, 2020's too long ago to justify keeping Ricciardo on the grid now, but it's needless revisionism from Villeneuve and it actually undermines his argument.
one more try then.
Acknowledging how good Ricciardo was is key to understanding the extent of his decline.
Yeah, Kym Illman
Ricciardo
was also
unsurprisingly didn't have
good.
much time for Villeneuve, saying he was talking
No, they're not
and
changed it.
inviting him to suck it. His performance on track with his best weekend of the season was also a pretty strong response. But there were two things it didn't change. First, Ricciardo has underdelivered for too long. And second, off-track benefits did play a big part in Red Bull picking him up again post-McLaren. Red Bull hoped the old Ricciardo could be tempted out on track as well, and we see it from time to time.
Oh shit. Door. A copper door. Let's see. Can we sit here? No. Doesn't look like that. Boring.
But the longer that remains inconsistent, the more heavy lifting those off-track factors, like Ricciardo's reputation, are doing to keep him on the grid. On the other side of the RB garage, as we mentioned, Tsunoda's been retained, having never been in the running for Perez's Red Bull seat, despite being the most deserving logical choice on performance alone. It's well established now that Tsunoda's been the lead RB driver this year and has reacted brilliantly to his regrettable post-race head loss in Bahrain to look more assured than ever. An ultra-rare mistake in Canada, spinning out of the points, is the only big error since then, and was disappointing as he was racing very well and set to beat Ricciardo, having slightly underachieved in qualifying. Red Bull's active lack of interest in considering Tsunoda for its main team amounts to a refusal to promote him. Which might seem unfair, but Red Bull can do what it likes, given it has Tsunoda under contract. It's under no obligation to make Tsunoda Verstappen's teammate if it doesn't want to. That is a shame for Tsunoda, as he has no realistic future at the Red Bull team he ultimately wants to race for, and he was of interest to multiple rivals. He's also performing too well to be stuck in career limbo, just as his stock in the driver market is reaching an all-time high. But short term, being kept where he is isn't the end of the world. Right now, RB's clearly better than any of the teams he could realistically move to. And Tsunoda being kept on at RB is actually worse news for Ricciardo, because it piles on the pressure for him to make a more compelling case to stay himself. Red Bull's made it clear it's in a use him or lose him situation with reserve driver Liam Lawson in 2025. It either has to give him an F1 seat or he's free to go elsewhere. So Ricciardo's being shadowed by a young driver who proved himself capable enough in F1 with a good set of stand-in appearances when Ricciardo got injured last year, early into his comeback. The longer Ricciardo's form remains underwhelming, the more of a threat Lawson becomes, because Tsunoda's confirmation means if Red Bull does want to give Lawson the seat he craves, it's only Ricciardo who can be cut. More weekends like Canada will definitely make Ricciardo's case.
Another, I believe, if Ricciardo doesn't become better, he will be the third driver for Red Bull, and Liam Lawson will be in the catch-up of the Formula 1 team.
Robust, which he needs, given he seems to be in a Red Bull or nothing position. The top seat might be out of reach for the medium term and maybe forever, but Red Bull's still Ricciardo's best and maybe only way of staying in F1 at all. There hasn't seemed to be any interest in Ricciardo that he could then fall back on if he does lose his seat to Lawson, as he's not featured at all in any of the driver market rumblings when we've talked to other teams. So this is potentially career-saving territory for Ricciardo, not merely which seat does he end up with in 2025, which is a long way short of where he would have hoped to be when he got this second chance last year.
Okay. That happened. Let's see, what do we have now? We have P1's driving ratings, and then we have some 2026 car talk. But I want to see the driver ratings for the Canadian Grand Prix. So let's see what P1 have to say about that.
Our Canadian Grand Prix F1 driver ratings. Right, let's get into the driver ratings then and start with Kevin Magnussen. I'm going to give Kevin Magnussen a healthy.
Oh my god, that was close.
I feel as though he was a bit screwed over by his team after producing a lovely, beautiful start on the wet tyres. We thought Kevin Magnussen was going to be champion of the world at that specific moment in time. He was flying through, making moves, and it was a decent enough drive. I don't really know how he'd ended up 12th. I think it's mainly just because they weren't able to take full advantage of the amazing start that Magnussen.
That I will say. What if they didn't start at the tyre? Could they have actually got points this week?
Had by not having the tyres ready, so I think he had like an 8.5 second pit stop, which then puts him back in the pack a little bit. Otherwise, I think maybe, just maybe, he could have scored a point. But still, K-Mag, you drove well, so you get a 7.
I have also gone
7? What? 6.
for a 7 out of 10 for Kevin Magnussen. He did a impressive qualifying, has to be said, beating Nico Hülkenberg, which we've not seen a lot. And then in a race where a lot of people are spinning off, making mistakes, crashing, he was very un-Kevin Magnussen and had a really, really good race. And it was great to watch him at the start go through the...
Really? Did he do nothing? Man, he really trying to not get any more points. That's boring. I want to see the race ban. Or even more interesting, will FIA not give him enough points to actually ban him from a race? Only future will tell.
Field, such a shame that the pit stop happened, because if they'd have done, even a 3-second pit stop, he's gaining a lot of time, positions, and then it was so hard to overtake through a lot of the race, and we saw a lot of trains in the midfield that maybe points could have been achieved, but
yeah, you could.
Sadly not for K.
With a Sally. I'm really happy that Haas didn't get any more points. They made, I think... let's see... I wanna see... Not driver standing. I wanna see... Construction standing. Yeah, only two points away is Alpine to take to get past Haas. And I hope Williams also started getting points. I hope that Haas had like the start I had with Mick Schumacher and Kevin Magnussen, when they got a lot of points early and then they never got any points. I hope it will happen now, so Alpine and Williams just overtake them in points. Stake F1 team Kick Sauber will probably never get any points this season. Maybe 1 point for Jürgen Yu. That will maybe be fun.
K-Mag.
The fans gave K-Mag a 6. Nico Hülkenberg qualified 19th, started 10th.
I did also give him a 6. Hulkberg probably a 7.
Finished 11th.
I'm going to go for a 6 for
One
Hülkenberg
more
because
fish for the
I think it's
collection.
a missed opportunity for Nico Hülkenberg, and I think it's all come undone in qualifying, because we know
God damn it.
how good Nico Hülkenberg is in qualifying, and in a race like that, disappointing to start so low down, because if he'd have put in another one of his great quali performances and also had that...
Yeah, if he did what Kevin Magnusson did, then he will actually got points. Man, we got... Oh shit. We got a spotty brown lime, a glitter black ray, flopper, yeah. All these different fishes, and then we have one salmon. The rare fish in this area. So weird.
That wet tie gamble, he'd have easily been in the points, and who knows where
Sure.
it would have been.
I'm going to go for a 7.
So why have Kevin Magnusson in Formula 1 when he can just be banned for lifetime from Formula 1? I mean, like, if Esteban Ogone and nope, not one more fish for the collection. Esteban Ogone and Oliver Bermejong's haas. I can't see Magnusson get another seat in another team.
Mainly because I'm feeling quite generous for the drivers that decided not to bin it in a very difficult changeable condition race. Also, Nico Hulkenberg, I believe, was used as a bit...
so Yuki Tsunoda will get a bad score then? 100% Perez will get a bad score. Logan Sarre must be get a really bad score. But can it be worse than Perez? One more fish for the collection, and Cobb white blue. Could this be one more? Nope, it's the boring black tang. And then we have the boring grey stripes with orange background.
Bit of a a device to slow down all of those cars behind when he was left kind of to sit out there on his own on the wet tyres. So I've got to respect the team play there as well, and of course he beat his teammates. So
Was a bad team play. Only works when Magnusson does it and Hulkenberg is the one that can get points. Doesn't work the other way around.
For me, it's a solid drive from Nico, just missing out on points. So it's a 7, and the fans gave him a 6. Zhou Guanyu, qualified 20th.
Oh, Zhou Guanyu. I know nothing what he did. They like always. He and Bottas is one more fish for the collection. He and Bottas is just bad qualifying every race, bad race. You can also say nothing
Started
good.
from the pit lane, finished 15th.
4.
I am giving Zhou Guanyu a 2 out of 10.
2.
You might think, well,
Oh, can Perez get a 1 or 0?
qualified 20th, finished 15th in a stake. That's amazing. He was the last of the finishers. It is probably the worst season out of all the drivers.
Also 1 lap after.
And it's kind of going under the radar because he's driving in
plus 1 lap.
in a dustbin. But it, anonymous race this, anonymous race that. We've just had a ridiculously mental race, and Zhou is still finishing last. It's really poor. Like, this is the only opportunity for the sake.
Maybe that car is that bad. You can't drive it.
To get anywhere near.
It's the. I mean, maybe they've done the stake part really literally. They have staked all the new parts. They staked the. They staked the pit stop. The first races that happened. Always end up bad with them. So they're gambling really much with this team.
The rest of the field, but again, last place.
Yeah, I've gone for a 3 out of 10 for Zhou Guanyu. Zhou is just consistently at the back, and he's not even at the back at the moment.
I mean, he's gambling. with stake, F1 team kick Sauber. The odds are really bad. He can't win. You can only win when Audi takes it over. Until then, you need to gamble with this bad outcome.
Seems to like have this gap where things like Q1 is.
Man, I hate that nobody have, at least from what I've seen from P1 or any memes, funniest tweets. Yeah, shit, Sherlock. It's never funny tweets. But stake is a gambling site. Why no memes on gambling? That's why the team is bad. They try to gamble being good, but they always loses because it's gambling. You're not supposed to win.
Incredibly close, and then we have another half a second, and then Joe's there, or sometimes even a second. Yeah, he's on incredibly poor form, and he's not going to have any hope of a seat next year. If
not in Audi, but hopefully in Alpine, and then Geely can buy up Alpine, and then change the name to Lotus. Then we have a Chinese Formula 1 team in Formula 1 with the amazing Lotus name team. Yeah, and then hopefully they perform better than Alpine, but maybe they will not. That will be really sad.
it carries on.
No! Fuck off! We don't want this ad. Go away. I want tropical fishes. Polestar! I mean, that could happen. If Lotus comes back into Formula 1 with Geely. Eller Geely. The engine for the Lotus can be on Volvo. Wouldn't that be amazing? And then when Dino Beganovic have a really good season in Formula 2. Hopefully first a really good season in Formula 3. He can then join the team. So we have a Chinese and a Swedish driver in a Lotus Volvo team. Would be so perfect. Oh shit, I need fucking sound. Go away. Back to Yoga Joe. I hope he will stay. But maybe not.
Another half a second, and then Joe's there, or sometimes even a second. Yeah, he's on incredibly poor form, and he's not going to have any hope of a seat.
Surely he will.
If it carries on. In fact,
I mean, in my opinion, I believe more that Jürgen Yu will stay than Kevin Magnussen. Maybe even Valtteri Bottas. Because I feel like Valtteri Bottas, he do too much other stuff outside Formula 1, so you should maybe stop driving and do like Kimi Räikkönen, just leave Formula 1 and do 100% what you actually want to do. Maybe biking.
I think he's just too far gone now. Like, no one's going to consider him, I don't think.
That's so mean. Come on. I mean, I believe more Jürgen Yu than Jack Doohan in Alpine. And I also believe Mick Schumacher even more, or not even more, but more than Jack Doohan also. So I believe Jürgen Yu and Mick Schumacher can get the Alpine seat before Jack Doohan even get called up.
I agree as well. I think that it's a done deal, unfortunately, for Joe. The fans gave him a 2 as...
Come on, can't you see the future? What Alpine can be? If Alpine get bought up, hopefully by Geely, they can bring back Lotus into Formula 1. The hype for, and then also not even amazing team name back in Formula 1. It can be a Chinese team that we probably try to, hopefully a lot of people with, thanks to Jung and you, wanna be part of this team and yeah, make it like Audi trying to do, but it's with Lotus.
Well, Valtteri Bottas qualified 17th, started from the pit lane as well.
Yeah, I mean, even if Valtteri Bottas is out qualifying and finished the race better than Jürgen Yu, he's still also what do you say? Fuck is the word? Back on the furthest. Nah, fuck me, I don't know. He's not on the top drivers. He's really a back marker driver. One more fish for the collection.
And finished 13th.
Gone for a 5 out of 10 for Valtteri Bottas. Anonymous, standard
Cobb, lime,
race
pink.
in a kick Sauber, but he kept it on the road.
Look, Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. What says there? Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. Kick Sauber. Oh yeah, some places they can't have the stake name, I think. I mean, that's so stupid name. Like Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team.
A lot better than his teammate. That car is terrible, but at least Bottas
I mean,
has
that's. I mean, if you believe Jürgen Joe will not be in Formula 1 anymore, is that something you can promote Valtteri Bottas with, that is better than Jürgen Joe? Is the celebrating when you're better than Kimi Räikkönen when he's not even trying to be in Formula 1 anymore? It's like, okay, sure.
something from it, but it's nothing to kind of really shout about.
No, I've also gone for a 5 out of 10 for Valtteri.
Oh, fuck me, I'm not... what points will I give Jürgen Joe? I think I said 4. Valtteri Bottas, what will I give him? 6?
At least he beat Tsunoda after the small bottle that happened. He's off the back of the rest of the pack of the Hasses and whatnot, but
No,
it's nothing.
6.
You know, can't really
No,
slant
Jürgen Joe 3, Valtteri Bottas 5.
him too much. I think he's sort of done okay, so that's why I've gone for a 5 out of 10. And the fans gave him a 5 as well. Yuki Tsunoda.
Oh, I mean, how do you give points on him? I think he did a good qualifying. And he did somewhat good race until the, maybe you can say, last lap. When he just ruined everything. Maybe a 7.
Qualified 8th, started 8th, finished 14th. A 4 out of 10 for Yuki Tsunoda.
What?
I'm not going to give him a 2 or a 3. I know his small mistake.
How they give points is somewhat stupid. Sometimes they just how... I think Lando Norris, they did it. They gave Lando Norris a 10 when his qualifying was bad. The only thing was good that was the race, because I think he must won the race. But it's like his qualifying was bad. Why do you give him a 10 when the qualifying is bad? And now, like, yeah, he ended the race bad, but the qualifying was maybe better, but no.
Mistake undid his race, but I am giving him a slight bit of lenience.
And also, he did good until then. So, man, so mean.
So, taking into account that he did incredible the entire rest of the weekend. So, yeah, he's going to get away with a 4 from me, but such a shame.
His sad times, I've gone for a 4 as well.
4, I would say 6, but yeah. Some people are
Absolutely
just
gutting
mean.
Yuki Tsunoda because you look back and he maybe should have been boring and just settled for position. I know it was just one of those moments at that corner. We saw a few people run wide there as soon as you get off the line. He was doing everything he could to try and pass. I think it was Ocon.
Oh, wonder. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, that will be interesting in what Matt will give. What points he will give them.
Behind. It was in a bit of a train, and then it cost him big time. So, big shame for Yuki.
Big times. I mean, he's already in a good team and a good car. If it was Alex Albon, then I would agree. Because how rare they can actually fight for points. One more fish and snooper, purple, red. But I feel like Vista Ketchup can fight for points every race. So I feel like, did they really lose that much? Probably not. One more fish for the collection. On Sunstreak, brown, orange.
It was a big shame. The fans gave Yuki Tsunoda a 5. Daniel Ricciardo qualified 5th, started 5th, finished 8th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Daniel Ricciardo. It was a very bizarre race for Daniel Ricciardo because he obviously qualified a...
Didn't Yuki Tsunoda, wasn't he... Couldn't he finish ahead, Ricciardo, before the spin? Man, he gets a 4 when he almost finished the race better than Ricciardo.
Amazingly well. Then had this jump start and it looked like he'd completely thrown any chance of points away, and we were going to be having...
Oh my god, that jump start. The fuck was that? Landon Norris actually doing jump start. No, we can't give a penalty on that. Ricciardo somewhat rolling. Or moving, or whatever you can call it. But I feel like, wasn't it also backwards? Sounds like he was moving forward. But maybe he did. He just stopped braking, and that's a penalty.
Conversation of Yuki's scored a load of points and Danny's got nothing again. Like, how's it come unravelled when he had that great quali? But then he kept it on the road and delivered a good points finish, which is exactly what RB needs. So yeah, it was a good performance.
RB needs. He needs. Yuki Tsunoda already collecting enough points for the RB team. So he needs to collect points for himself.
From Daniel, maybe he needs to get slandered by Jack Villeneuve every weekend to give him a little boost.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 as well for Daniel Ricciardo. I think it was a really solid weekend for Daniel. Of course, qualifying 5th place is one way to shut up your critics. He needs to continue doing this and continue scoring points, and we can't just have...
Oh, that would be amazing if he also finished like 5th also. That, I would say, that may be a 9 or 10. So yeah, 8 can maybe be a score I would give.
One-offs like Mexico and things like that, but a very promising race and weekend for Daniel Ricciardo, so I'm very happy for him. The fans also gave him an 8 out of 10. Logan Sargent!
Yeah, this can't be any good points. Maybe 1 or 0.
Qualified 13th. Started 13th.
Oh shit, yeah, oh my god. Qualifying 13. So it should be... So maybe a 2?
Didn't finish. It's going to be a 1 out of 10. He earned that 1 point by getting into Q2. Congratulations. You're not getting a 0. But
okay,
after
1
that,
done.
just... You wowzers. Of course, he made that mistake initially. I think it was lap 6. Blocks up, goes straight on, ruins his race, unless obviously a safety car comes out, which it did. And then, about 19 laps later, lap 25, just rides the curb too hard, unsettles the car, and very lucky actually. Watching this back, very lucky to not collect the leaders. But yes, it's going to be a 1 out of 10 from me.
No! So he could maybe have made so Lando Norris more easily can have won the race. Can just collect the Max Verstappen and Russell and then easy win for Lando Norris instead of making an easy win for Max Verstappen.
Yeah, he did well in qualifying, which is a shame. I mean, it's too little too late, of course, but yeah, 2 out of 10 for Logie because it's just
2?
shocking, really.
Okay, so 2 and 1.
Okay, the fans gave Logan a 1. Alex Albon qualified 10th, started 10th, did not finish.
I mean, I did thanks for Carlos Sainz. What can Alex Albon get? I would say 6. 6 or 7.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10
8.
Alex Albon. His overtake was just gorgeous.
And I fucking hate when people talk about overtakes. It's like, if nobody crash into you, then it's the most amazing overtake ever. And then if someone crashed into the person that's trying to overtake, then it's that, why did he even try to do that? It was so bad judgment. Like everything bad. But when no crashing happened, then it's the amazing thing you can ever have seen. Yeah, because the other people didn't crash into him. That's why he succeeded. If Esteban Ocon didn't wanna have him there, they will both be out so easily.
It was lovely.
Really.
Or fucking really retarded because he... I mean, did he try to outbrake both the cars or just one of them, and then did the braking really late, so he overtook the other car also. So I don't believe that was any planning.
And of course he was a complete passenger in the Sainz spin. And yeah, points
Sainz
could have been
ruined
on
everything.
the card for him, but alas, not.
Alas, not indeed. I've also gone for an 8 out of 10 for Alex. I think he was driving a fantastic
Okay,
race.
then I will give a 7.
He did the move
Man,
of the
8.
season, and I feel like he's just braked and gone, oh, I have to go for this move or I'm going to rear end the Alpine. So then...
Yeah, so the only reason why he succeeded is he was lucky with Esteban Ocon, and that he had enough control with the car. But it was not a planned overtake.
I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him, but I just love how that kind of then just became the most incredible double overtake in changeable conditions at the last chicane at Canada. That's not something I don't think anyone expected. But
yeah, you started promoting Alex Albon, you should promote Esteban Ocon, not crash into him. Or if there's Riccardo Sonoda.
then, yeah, very unlucky to
One
be
more
wiped out
fish
by
for the
Sainz.
collection.
I bet he wishes that Sainz had stopped just a little bit sooner, but he did not. And yeah, still deserves an 8 out of 10 because that was probably going to be points for the Williams. And the fans gave Alex an 8 out of 10 as well. Esteban Ocon qualified 18th, started 18th, and then finished 10th. You know what? I'm giving him an 8 out of 10. Ocon, good drive, very good drive.
Will you mention how he didn't crash into Alex Albon?
Kept it on the black stuff. He would have finished 9th, but he's a
One more
nice
fish
guy.
for the collection.
Just want to remind everyone, he is a nice guy.
Okay, nice guy. Will you mention that he didn't crash into Alex Albon when he maybe could have 100% done it?
He was chasing down Ricciardo for 8th. And I'm still considering this Alpine to be a dustbin. So I'm giving Ocon a very good grade. I think
Få en godare midsommar.
Go away, ads. We don't need you. Man, that's so weird. You can say how Alex Albon made the most amazing overtake ever, but you can't mention why it also succeeded to happen. Oh, fuck me, one more ad. And then the biggest reason why some overtakes succeeds is if the other person also let the person also to succeed the overtake. Not like I've seen, I think, Michael Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen, I don't know, I think one of them. Like this amazing overtake. Yeah, that's because the other one gave up and let the other person through. So they both will not crash. I mean, is that really an overtake if the other person gives up? I wouldn't say that, but let's see. Can we hear anything about Esteban Ogone not crashing into Alex Albon in that overtake? Oh, fuck me, we need also sound.
Ricciardo for 8th. And I'm still considering this Alpine to be a dustbin. So I'm giving Ocon a very good grade. I think both of the drivers drove...
Yeah, 8 can
a pretty
maybe
decent
agree
weekend. So yes, I am going to reward Ocon with a high grade. Congratulations.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 as well.
Oh yeah, he didn't mention it. Let's see if Tom, whatever his name is. Let's see if he mentioned anything.
To say Ocon started at the back, drove a very good race, and yeah, the P9 was
he drove a great race because he didn't crash into Alex Albon when he did the overtake, right?
Definitely on. There's lots of talk about
him not crashing into Alex Albon when Alex Albon did the most weirdest overtake ever on 2 drivers in a row, right?
Drivers and favouring certain drivers and teams and things.
Because fuck Esteban Ocone. So easily you can not like him.
This one was not hidden at all, that they're now just kind of backing Pierre Gasly.
And that was really amazing. But if Esteban Ocone have some problems, why the fuck should Gasly be behind him? And it could also be the reason why Esteban Ocone started to get close to Gasly again. Could be that Gasly maybe overdrove the tires to get to Daniel Ricciardo. And that made his tires worse. That made Esteban Ocone starting to get closer to Gasly again. So yeah, but man, why be behind a slower car with a problem?
Because his chance to go for Ricciardo was never on. So I see why.
Well, Tsunoda showed that if you was behind him, that you can get past him because he made a mistake. So Daniel Ricciardo can also made a mistake in the end.
Ocon was annoyed, but then he's kind of like he's put himself in that situation now where he's fallen out with the team, and he kind of not helped himself in that situation. So it was a good drive from Ocon, right from the back to get points in a race where...
And not crashing into Alex Albon when he easily could have. Right? Will you fuck it is.
Yeah, in a crazy race as well.
Great effort, Ocon. Well done. The fans gave a 7. Pierre Gasly.
Wow, the overtake that Alex Albon did was so amazing. You can't even mention the other people that made that happen. I mean, that overtake must be so amazing then.
Qualified 15th, started 15th, finished 9th.
A 10.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Pierre Gasly as well. He was on
high
the slicks
9
actually
or
quite
10
early. It took a while for him, but
because fuck up.
Impressive for him to essentially keep on the island because a lot of other people didn't. And yeah, the fact that he managed to take that gamble when it was maybe a little bit too early, and
also the team supported the Gasly, so also a 10.
Paid off eventually because it's quite easy to it's too late, get back on the inters, and then your whole race is over because you've made another pit stop, and then you're going to go back to dries later. But stuck with it, did a very good job.
One more fish.
Got points, and he was
for
like
the
setting like fastest laps
collection.
at some point throughout the race as well. So
Stripey,
good
orange,
drive from
light
Gasly.
I've
blue.
gone for an 8 out of 10 for Gasly too. Both Alpines
Eight.
strode very, very
Give
well,
him a
despite
10.
there being incredible inter-team tension. And I'm sure Gasly is very happy that Ocon is a nice guy, even though I'm not sure how nice.
When the fuck is Esteban Ogone nice? I've seen how he drives against Alonso. Most disgusting way ever. Who do he wanna ruin a race for? Alonso or fucking Lewis Hamilton? Of course, Alonso. He's a teammate. And then we let Lewis Hamilton pass. For some reason. Why? Why you ruin Alonso's race before you ruin Lewis Hamilton's race? I mean, I don't know what race it was, but you clearly see how he tried everything to keep Alonso behind. And then Lewis Hamilton can just pass him on the left side. Because he focused so much on the right side, he's so fucking retarded.
As he would say, considering
Nice
they were asking
guy,
him to be
no,
let through
fuck that.
many laps before so that he could fight Ricciardo. So I wonder how that.
I mean,
one's
that's
going.
also funny. I don't like Esteban Ocon, but I can clearly see that Esteban Ocon didn't crash into Alex Albon, so he could do the overtake. I mean, look and see. There we have Esteban Ocon not crashing into Alex Albon, and they can't even mention that. The
Going to
fuck is
unfold for
this?
the rest of the season. I'm very excited to see.
The kind of
And
Formula
Gasly
1
got
fans
a 7
are this.
from the fans. Lance
Eller
Stroll
are they?
qualified 9th, started 9th, finished.
Oh shit. Gasly, yeah, 10. Lance Stroll. What did he do? Maybe a 7. I mean, he should just leave the team.
7th. You know what? Giving Lancey Boy an 8 out of 10 as well.
Why?
Nice drive. Good weekend. Kept it very quiet. We didn't see much of the Aston Martins, to be honest with you. They just sort of sat in that behind the front pack, but ahead of Formula B, which is kind of what we expected
Formula
Aston
B.
Martin to be throughout.
Formula B. Let's see. Formula A is Red Bull. Formula B is Ferrari and McLaren. Formula C is Mercedes. Formula D is Aston Martin. Then har vi Formula E, vissa cash up RB Formula 1 team. Formula F, Haas, Williams and Audi.
This season, but they sort of fell
Oh
into
fuck
Formula
me, Stake F1 team kick Sauber.
B, but then they kind of came back this weekend with this
Nope.
crazy race. So, yeah, I think Lance drove a solid race and some good points for the team.
8 out of 10 for Stroll.
8.
If he did
Man,
this,
many people got to 8 this race. For some
more
reason.
often than not, every weekend, he wouldn't be such a meme and everyone bantering about how,
He will always be a meme.
he's daddy's boy and he's never going to get fired and stuff. Because it's a very respectable job to finish behind Fernando Alonso on the road. Your teammate in the same car. In very tricky conditions.
I mean,
when-
Perez finished behind Max Verstappen also. He maybe was out of the race, did a DNF, no points, but he was still behind Max Verstappen.
and there's very talented drivers as well who've also, made mistakes and gone off and
Or
things
maybe
like that.
DNF, you technically didn't finish the race, so maybe that's why.
So, yeah, it's a good drive from Stroll.
The fans gave Lance a 7 out of 10. Fernando
True.
Alonso qualified 6th, started 6th,
Will it also be fucking 8 or 9?
finished 6th.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Fernando Alonso.
My
Finally.
goodness.
It's one of those things where with Fernando, I'm always like, am I a fanboy? Yes.
Yes.
But also, in an Aston Martin, he has maximised the result. He was racing
He will
Lewis
always do
Hamilton for
that.
so much of that race. The Mercedes was very, very good. I don't believe for a second the Aston Martin is anywhere near as good as that Mercedes, yet he was.
Not that race, but just wait. When the next race comes and Mercedes will not understand anything about the car, then Aston Martin can maybe do a comeback. To be closer, probably not better, but close enough.
In that pack, and this is the Fernando Alonso before the I hope it is a blip that he had those kind of 3 or 4 races where you must have to admit, you know, some of the worst form of his career really. He's had an absolute shocker, but this is back to the Fernando Alonso that just delivers the maximum what you can in an Aston Martin, and I feel like he's done that.
I'm going to have to go for a 9 as well, so yeah, you've convinced me.
So, did that say 9? I mean, I should have.
I think he did extract everything.
I mean, if everyone else get an 8, he should be a 9.
He could out of that Aston Martin that does not belong to.
Oh my god, what will Russell get? I mean, he finished P3, he qualified P1, but he did so many mistakes in the race. There should be an 8 or 7.
With the top 3 teams. So, yeah, well done, Alonso. The fans...
And Lewis Hamilton, he maybe finished P4, but didn't he also do mistakes? I mean, he did a bad qualifying, so that will be interesting. What will Hamilton and Russell get?
Didn't agree. 7 out of 10. Oscar Piastri qualified 4th, started 4th, finished 5th. It's going to be an 8.
Why not 9?
8 out of 10 for Oscar Piastri. Didn't quite have the pace of Norris at certain points, especially when Lando was clearing off into the distance, but I still think he had a very solid race, mixing it with the front, decent qualifying, and that's all you can really ask of Oscar. He just needs to, like, can he just be on the podium? Can he just have, like...
Yeah, or can he just be good at keeping his tires good enough so he can start being podium?
Some luck or, like, anything, just to... I know he's won a sprint and whatnot, but I just feel like he always just slightly misses out on the podium and it's painful. But it was still a good drive.
I got 8 out of 10 for Oscar.
But because he can't keep up with the tires.
Good drive. He is very impressive. Like he is such an impressive teammate to Lando. Like that driver pairing for me is so good. Like McLaren have got it like nailed on with those two. I think they shared something that they've scored the most points between them. You know, the most points from a team in the last 4 races has been McLaren, because they're normally together on the road and maximising. And dare I say, the shift of as talking about Ferrari can win the constructors, I still think they can.
Maybe not this season. Next season Ferrari can. 100%.
I know it was an awful weekend. Especially with Perez's form, but I think McLaren have a chance as well if they keep doing this, and Oscar keeps delivering great results, and Lando as well. So, yeah, good drive.
With the copium.
Let's go. The fans also gave Oscar Piastri an 8 out of 10. Lando Norris qualified 3rd, started 3rd, finished 2nd.
I have gone for
It should be 9, or it could be 10.
9 out of 10 for Lando Norris. Good drive, very good drive, but with Lando's high standards. Yes, he was unlucky with the safety car. Having watched it back, it's a big error from McLaren, because I saw some people doing...
Yeah, he was all focused on taking the corner when the safety car stuff happened. So if the team had maybe said like every time he was close to the... Well, every time maybe happened just one time, but as soon as he's close to the pit stop, mentioning it, okay, start drive somewhat slower in case there's a safety car, and then he 100% could just went in.
The argument, maybe, you know, like people on the broadcast that are maybe a little bit more less scathing than the likes of Jack Villeneuve and things that are maybe like sugarcoat it a bit more, and they're like, oh well, you know, the it's come out quite late, but Logan Sargent's in the wall. The whole time in your head, you're surely going, there's going to be a safety car. Let's get ready just in case.
True.
So, yeah, not good for McLaren there, but Lando drove a good race, and he did make the odd mistake.
Now I want to hear Russell and Hamilton.
Fell back at the end.
Come on.
Still a very good
Oh
drive
my
from
god,
him.
Ferrari.
I have also gone for a 9 out of 10 for Lando. Yeah, it all obviously came unravelling during that safety car moment. The only thing I can think of why McLaren didn't pit him was, are we going to get a red flag? Let's stay out for one more lap and just make sure that we don't pit and everyone else carries on, and then we get a red flag and then we lose position. But still, everyone else pit. So it was a blunder from McLaren. Perhaps they just got in a little bit of their own head there of trying to make the decision of, is there a red flag, or sort of thing. So there was an opportunity. Lando could have won that race. Alas, he didn't.
True.
But still, McLaren, every single weekend we go to, they are there. So, yeah, 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
for
where is
Lando,
Mercedes?
and the fans gave him a 9 as well. Carlos Sainz qualified 12th, started 12th, did not finish. I'm going to lock in 3 out of 10 for Carlos. A weekend
No, he should have a 0. He ruined Alex Albon's race.
to forget for both drivers, surprisingly. But bad qualifying, didn't really have the pace, and then spun.
I mean, he didn't have any problems with the car, and he was still slower than Charles Leclerc.
on his own, and then wiped out Albon.
It should be a
So,
0.
Yes, it's going to be a 3 out of 10.
0.
Yeah, I've also gone for a 3 out of 10 for Carlos.
3.
I
It should
think
be a 0.
where the Ferraris qualified and the fact that they were
One more fish for the
very,
collection.
very similar showed that I think you can kind of
Spotty,
take a little bit from the fact
cyan,
that Ferrari weren't there this weekend.
green.
But then, didn't make it through the pack, was not able to really do anything, which they're stuck in a train, fair enough, but then to
Well, Charles Leclerc could, so don't coping.
make a mistake when we've been praising, particularly the likes of Carlos has been so consistent in the championships for the last few years. But yeah, big error to throw away potential points. Not a good weekend at all for him.
No, absolutely not. The fans also gave Carlos a 3 out of 10.
0.
Charles Leclerc qualified 11th, started 11th, did not finish. Let's get this one over and done
He
with.
should, he should have a 3.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Charles
Okay,
Leclerc.
Oh,
great.
5.
About 10-2. Move on.
True.
You say that though. What is there to say in terms of the Ferrari wasn't there? I think he got screwed over by the engine problem, and then even being on the wrong tyres, he was never going to be able to recover anything. So it's not like he's made a race-ending error like
No,
Carlos
he
has.
did great racing. I mean, he overtook people, and he actually tried to do something, while Carlos Sainz did nothing.
Which is why he's obviously a lot lower in the 3s. But Charles, it's just one of those
One more fish
weekends to
for the
forget.
collection.
Yes, I've gone for a 5 out of 10 as well for Charles. Just hindered almost immediately by the engine issue. He was doing well to drive around the issue, but of course it all just went to pot. I don't even really blame Ferrari that much for trying the dry tyres. What have you got to lose when you're a minute behind the pack? So
Yeah, and when he came out, then it started raining. So if it didn't start raining, maybe, or it didn't rain so much, it could be maybe really good for Ferrari to be on the new tires.
yeah, it was a last roll of the dice, and then they just were like, let's just bin it off and retire the car because he was lapped as well. So yeah, 5 out of 10 from me and a 5 from the fans as well. George Russell qualified first, started first.
I mean, let's see. He qualified first. He finished the race third, but that's because he did so many mistakes. I would say 7 or 8.
First, finished
No, fuck me, not 8, 7.
third. I am giving
7 or
George
6.
8 out of 10.
How can that be a 8 when he made so many mistakes?
Now, some people might think, goodness gracious me, started on pole, he was fighting for the win, and he finished on the podium in a Mercedes. Matt, are you good? Yes, I am good, because that should
You're
have been
not.
a 10 out of 10, George Russell winning that race. Both Mercedes should have won that race, but they both fumbled the bag. And you might think, oh, well, he's not there every week. But this is Formula One. There was one opportunity, by the looks of things, at the moment for Mercedes
So
to
it
win.
should be a 7.
race. They were the quickest car in a lot of the conditions. George was leading the race at the start, cleared Max by 2.5 seconds and was looking comfortable. Then obviously when the tyres started to wear, that's when he was really starting to struggle. But into the dry again, he was doing great. But then he made that mistake, let Lando through. He then made another mistake passing Oscar. Too many mistakes. George could have won that race, hands down.
I've
So
also gone for
7.
an 8 out of 10 for George Russell.
The fuck? You mentioned all the problems, and still you give an 8. It should be at least a 7.
I think it's too harsh to give any lower than an 8 because he has stuck it on pole and delivered when Hamilton really
And then the race happened. The fuck you thinking?
didn't in qualifying, but
Well, don't get us started on that, mate.
yeah,
He was lacking
exactly.
a couple
That's
of
another
tenths for a
theory,
reason
isn't it?
We're not being told. And Lewis is really stirring the
He
conspiracy
is staring
pot right now, isn't he?
he really is. But George, he's now been given a race-winning car and a very good chance to win. He's done a brilliant job in qualifying to put it on pole position, and it was just so many mistakes. And I know it's a difficult,
Yeah. Here to say many mistakes and still give an 8.
tricky
So fucking stupid. It's
conditions and
100%
things.
a 7.
But when he was leading, it was kind of like, he can win this, definitely. You know, got the start out of the way, had a nice gap on Verstappen, but like you said, you know, Norris passed him and then he went off immediately, which loses a place to Verstappen. So he didn't even stay ahead of Verstappen there. Made another mistake at the corner and almost binned it exactly the same as he did last year. And then even when he had those medium tyres at the end and it was like, oh, he could do a Singapore, where he's going to go at the end and on better tyres and catch people. Silly move on Oscar. I don't think it was a penalty, but I don't know why he turned in there thinking that Oscar was just going to disappear. He just needed to bide his time and overtake him.
I mean, that's how we drive sim Mercedes nowadays. If you're Mercedes, you will be driving first.
In the next DRS zone. Yeah. It's almost like it's weird to give him an 8 and then there are so many negatives and we're sort of like calling him out on
Yeah, so why a 8? It's 100% a 7.
so many things, but it is true, like
One more fish for the
he's fumbled a
collection.
win there, like 100%.
So
Fans
7.
gave George an 8 as well.
I mean, sometimes you feel like all they say is like, okay, 100% a bad race that this person did, and then it's still a good score. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You say all these problems, still you give an 8. Why? Your reasoning is so fucking retarded.
So maybe we're all in the same boat and we don't need to explain ourselves. But
Yeah,
we did
stop
anyway.
with this fucking cooking.
Lewis Hamilton qualified 7th.
Can this also will this also be an 8, or should it 100% be a 7?
Started 7th, finished 4th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Lewis Hamilton.
Go
this
fuck yourself.
was a perfect case of
Why fuck you give me an 8 for these people? Should be 100% fucking 7. Oh my god, so stupid. Also, one more fish for the collection. Is there a flopper, green, red, and then we have stripy, black, red. I feel like... yeah, we will go down and start placing the fishes down.
showing that Hamilton is like, you know, the better racer, and that's where he's been much better in his career, because he's finished right behind Russell when didn't look like it was going to happen, because he was stuck behind Alonso for so long. And you can say, you know, he got fortunate that he got caught back up again. He was on the wrong tyres at the end as well. What I do think is that
that is his problem.
you reverse Hamilton and Russell in the positions, and you can call me a Hamilton fanboy for saying this, but I think Hamilton would have at the very least been P2 and challenged Max more than Russell would have if he'd have been in first, because he's a better
39.
racer. But it all
They
came
would.
undone in qualifying, starting way down.
So, yeah, bad qualifying. He finished 4th. It should be a 7. The
In
fuck
7th, he always
thinking?
had too much work to do.
I think it's a 7. I think it's a 7 out of 10 for Hamilton.
Yeah,
It's
7.
very borderline
And also Russell will be also somewhat 7. But
7 or 8. But he himself said after the race it was one of the worst drives he's done, making mistakes left, right and centre. And I'm sorry, if he says that, how can I give him an 8 out of 10 if he himself says it was one of the worst races
39.
he's done? He had a race-winning car under him. I don't know, I just didn't feel like Hamilton was really threatening at any point, despite seeing George there very much, making mistakes, and we've said that, and that's why he got
42.
an 8. But he was right at the front. He got pole position. He was leading the charge at almost all times for Mercedes. So I can't give Hamilton the same grade. I really can't. It is close for sure, but I'm going to have to lock in a 7 for Hamilton. It's just a missed opportunity. I think he said, they could have won, and he's finished 4th. So
could be
for a 7-time world champion, is that good?
They could have finished 1 and 2, but Hamilton did a bad qualifying, and then Russell didn't do a good race.
Enough? Probably not. The fans gave Lewis an 8 out of 10. Okay, let's go to Sergio Perez.
Okay, let's see. What did Logan Sargent get? He got 1 or 2 points, I think. So Sergio Perez should maybe get maybe a 3.
Perez qualified 16th, started 16th, didn't finish. It's a 0. Perez, it's a 0. I'm sorry, you got knocked out in Q1.
Oh yeah.
Had contact with Gasly at the start, which I'm going to let him off. Very difficult conditions to see, a very light tap. But then just made no progress at all in a
He did do progress. You didn't watch the race.
Red Bull that has won the race. He was stuck, just not making any moves whatsoever.
He did.
And then just crashes. How can I give him any higher than a 0? I can't. I genuinely cannot even give him a 1. There's not one point in the weekend where you go, oh, Perez did quite well there. Or he did something.
He did.
And it's really sad to see. Perez has to bounce back in Spain. He has to. He cannot follow Monaco with this in a championship winning car.
He can.
It's very sad to see, but it is.
Why can't they do it? The contract is signed. And Max Verstappen will probably want him there, so he can be how bad he wants, maybe. Nope. -1. Black. We have already 1 black glitter. God damn it. Let's see, is that the first copy or the last? Let's see, glitter black. First, second fish.
It's a 0. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've gone for a 0 as well. How could it have gone any worse, particularly after, the new contract? A lot of pressure on him. Everyone going, why have you signed him? He's
maybe to keep Max Verstappen. That could be a reason.
Been terrible, and then to have an even worse weekend than Monaco because, he's qualified incredibly poorly. Way behind his teammate, then made absolutely no progress.
He did.
And then, even if he'd made absolutely no progress and finished like 12th or 13th, but then to have the embarrassment of spinning off, causing more damage to something we discussed in the main podcast about, he's going to cost Red Bull development with the budget, because if they're going to have to keep repairing car parts and repair his car, it's going to cost more than just him scoring no championship points. It's going to start costing that development race that Red Bull do not seem to be clear. So really, really, really bad weekend.
You sure about that? They're not clear? I feel like they're super clear.
Perez.
The fans gave Perez a 0. So we're all aligned with that one. Max Verstappen qualified 2nd, started 2nd, finished 1st.
It's a 10 out of 10 for Max Verstappen. It was one of those drives where...
Oavsett om det går...
No! Go away, Ed! We don't want you! Let's see... Betty... There we have the Betty, the one and more Betty. Okay, green cyan. Back to the video.
If you still think it's just the car, you will never be convinced, because
Green Cyan.
a lot of people at the end of the race going, I can't believe Max has still won that after all that. And he reminds you of Michael Schumacher in that sense, that in that Schumi peak era, you could have these absolutely crazy races, loads of stuff going on.
Cyan light blue.
All drivers making mistakes, things going on. Michael Schumacher would still win. And that's exactly what Max is doing at the moment. He doesn't give anyone a chance. And when his teammate is qualifying so far off, spinning into the wall, it isn't just the car. And it's just a champion's drive, basically. Really, really impressive.
It's a 10 out of 10 from me as well.
Cyan
a champion's drive is exactly the way to describe it. He's inevitable. You know that he's going to be there. Even when Lando's clearing away, you know that one safety car is going to bring him potentially back into play. And it did. And as soon as he got into the lead, he was able to extend the lead out of a car that we weren't convinced was going to be quicker than the McLarens. And obviously we spoke about the Mercedes and how they sort of slightly fumbled the bag. But Max is there. Max will be there when his car dominates, but Max will also be there when his car isn't dominating. So it's a lethal combination where he will just always be there trying to win. And an amazing weekend for Max, and extends his championship lead by a gargantuan margin. So there you go. And the fans also gave Max a 10. So who is our P1? I wonder. It's Max Verstappen for me, because Max is the only one I gave a 10 out of 10. There was a close one, I think, for Lando. It could have argued, but no, Max 10 for me.
Yeah, 10 for Max. Has to be Max. It's weird. We did this when we had that biggest winner in the main podcast, and you're kind of looking through, going, who's the biggest winner there? It is crazy, isn't it? In a race that had so much chaos, mixed conditions. That's normally one where you get like a crazy drive from someone that really delivers. There's so many potential drivers that could have got a 10 themselves if they'd have driven the perfect race, but they didn't, and Max Verstappen delivered again. So Max Verstappen per you one.
Yay. And there we go. Thank you everybody for watching and listening to this F1 driver ratings for the Canadian Grand Prix. Of course, we've got a week off before we go to Spain, which always is an absolute worldie of a race. So looking forward to that one. And Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts are
tomorrow.
If Spain manages to be good, what a season we're actually having.
Yes.
No, I'd be very surprised, but I'm still looking forward to it nonetheless. Surprisingly good season it's been so far.
So many floppers.
Pleasantly surprised indeed.
In the meantime, we're going to Le Mans, which is very exciting this weekend, aren't we? So
I don't think
the rain holds off, but it looks
don't think it will
be very good weather. So cross your fingers for us, and we will see you very soon for another video. Lots of love. See you soon, and podcast as well. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, go away. Now it's time for the race and 2026 apparently 8 key problem with F1 divisive 2026 rules. Okay, intro. Too fast on the straights, okay. Too slow in the corners, okay. Impossible weight loss, okay. Engine consequence. Further fine active error, okay. Less high grip, too slow overall, overcomplicated. So what happens now? Okay, I know nothing, so let's see.
F1's 2026 rules haven't even been made official yet, and already extensive changes are needed to address the biggest fears raised by teams.
Okay.
Most back the basic objectives to make the cars lighter and more nimble, improve racing, and balance a very different hybrid engine with completely different car downforce and drag levels. But the concern is that what's been outlined is simply not achievable with the rules in their current form. And remember, teams have seen the draft regulations, so know a lot more of the detail than the outline that has been shared publicly so far. Those draft regulations were presented to the World Motorsport Council earlier in June, and there'll be an e-vote before the end of the month, so the first version of the rules can be formally approved. That does not give a lot of time to make the changes the teams seek, and it will probably take
Yellow.
months to address this properly. To understand what's causing so much controversy, let's explore the biggest concerns that have been raised.
Yeah, apparently a lot of problems, but I don't know anything.
The
Orange,
2026 car's
yellow.
performance profile will be dramatically different from now, with a 55% reduction in drag targeted. F1 will also be abandoning the drag reduction system as we know it in favour of active aerodynamics that will open the front and rear wings significantly on the straights.
Nice.
And any driver will be allowed to use this on any straight regardless of whether they are close to another car. This is all because of what's needed to drive the required energy recovery and charge the battery. As the V6 is going to have a reduced output in 2026, the cars need to be lower drag to achieve similar speed profiles to now. But the fear is this risks going too far. Grand Prix Drivers Association Director George Russell has warned it has significant safety implications, and teams worry the cars will simply be too fast on the straights. The FIA admits
Really?
that top speeds will be slightly higher than now, but insists it will be closely monitored to avoid it running out of control, with restrictions on when the low drag mode can be used and the deployment of electrical power if needed.
Flopper
The intention
orange.
is for straight line speeds to be comparable to now, plus or minus a couple miles per hour. It's not like the 2026 cars are going to be 1.5 times faster on the straights or anything quite so outrageous, but the lap time will be biased more towards the straights, given there is also going to be a 30% reduction in downforce for these cars, and the FIA is unapologetic about this. The desire now is to slow the cars down in the corners while making them more nimble, so they won't be as quick, but they'll change direction better, aren't as lazy to drive, and by extension can be raced better. But with the ground effect being reduced by changes to the floor, rear wing and diffuser, teams are worried that the car simply won't have the grip required in the corners. FIA
Okay. No! So all the stuff they're trying to do to make the car better in the corners will still not succeed.
Single-seater technical director Jan Monchot said the FIA is happy to discuss what an adequate downforce level would be once teams mature their designs and simulation work with an initial set of confirmed regulations. That means evolving the rules, most likely in the floor area, to add more downforce to the cars than what is currently outlined.
God damn it. We don't like the ads. Let's see. Black, brown. Nice. And one more ad. Grey, yellow. Grey, yellow. No! There are grey, yellow. Back to the video.
The minimum weight of the cars will drop by 30 kilograms in 2026, and it's easy enough to write a reduction from 798 to 768 kilos into the regulations, but teams are concerned it won't be possible to get there or even get close. It's important to note that it's a minimum weight, not a mandatory target to hit. But with excess weight costing performance from 0.3 to 0.4 seconds per lap per 10 kilograms, it's going to be a key objective. Aston Martin driver Fernando Alonso thinks it's probably impossible to achieve a 30 kilo reduction, especially given the weight added in the engine area. And even if it is achievable, this weight reduction could prove massively expensive. As Williams team principal James Vowles says, it's not a fun thing to do. The FIA describes this target as challenging but feasible and is determined to cut the weight. And it is a laudable objective given the dramatic increases over the past 15 years. One thing that has already been clarified is that the driver minimum weight rule, first introduced in 2019, that means seat ballast equalises them at 80 kilos, will be retained. There was a...
Okay, why not remove it? And then so now there can be World Championship container, fight for World Championship. White, light grey.
A bit of uncertainty about this after one team suggested it had been removed from a draft set of rules. But this will exist, and it will actually be raised to 82 kilos in 2026. That is a good decision, but the car weight limit argument is set to run and run. There are legitimate concerns that the chassis rules are having to do too much to compensate for the limitations of the power unit package. McLaren team principal Andrea Stella points to the limitations of the 50-50 split between conventional V6 and electrical power that's central to the regulations, at least with how it's currently achieved. The FAA is at least open to the possibility of adjusting this. While the power unit regulations were first published back in August 2022 and the engine manufacturers are well advanced in terms of design and development work, there is potentially scope for change. When we asked FIA single-seater director Nicholas Tombassis about this, the response was that the governance does allow tweaks to be made with sufficient support from the manufacturers.
No, not Andretti. Eller Andretti. Cadillac. So mean. Let's see. See what did they mention? Okay, interesting.
Does allow tweaks to be made with sufficient support from the manufacturers. The argument is that there doesn't necessarily have to be a super strict adherence to the 50-50 concept in all conditions. As Stella explains, the concern is that there will not be sufficient energy if this is stuck to across the board. This means there's potential for adjusting the amount of energy deployed at a given time, thus changing the ratio. There's also the possibility of raising the fuel flow limit to allow more power to be generated by the V6. These would be subtle but significant changes that wouldn't require fundamental...
Yeah, I don't understand this. Trying to make the engines so good for the environment when the transport to every race is, I wouldn't say the best. So maybe fix all the transport to and from a race before you even trying to fix the car.
Alterations to the engines, but could make them easier to use. But at least one of the manufacturers is not keen on this. As Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff says, while the governance could allow for changes, realistically, that ship has sailed. This has all the ingredients of a classic Mercedes versus Red Bull battle, as when Christian Horner was asked about this possibility, he mentioned that there's always one that doesn't want to change. The increase in active...
Okay, that's something. I believe more Christian Horner than Toto Wolff.
Aerodynamics in 2026 is the most eye-catching aspect of the regulations. We know that there will be an X mode to slash the drag on the straights.
Oh no, this Russia mode.
And a Z mode for down.
Yeah, the pro-Russia mode. Are you pro-Russia or you pro-Twitter?
Force in the corners, and drivers will be switching between them. But the exact way all of this will work isn't yet fully defined. The FIA does have a broad idea of the basics, which Monchot explained when asked about it by us in a press conference in Canada. He characterised it as similar to the current DRS. So that means there will be conditions that have to be met to deploy low drag X mode. That's not strictly about proximity to a car in front, but ensuring the car is in or close to a straight line, by the necessity for very low or zero lateral load. The FIA is explicitly clear that this will be driver activated rather than automated, and has also promised a rigorous approach on safety similar to the one taken with the DRS. The key details that need to be finalised are the exact configuration of the front and rear wing adjustments and conditions such as when X mode must be deactivated ahead of a corner. That will be significant in order to allow the necessary time for the airflow to reattach when in Z mode form.
The Russia mode. Have people even started to talk about that? The Russia, the Twitter mode or the Russia mode? The sudden X mode? Maybe some people should have.
The tyres will get smaller in 2026, yet the FIA's outline claims this will mean a minimal loss in grip. The question is whether it will be that trivial. The wheel rim size remains at 18 inches, but the tyres are narrower to reduce drag. The tyres will be 2.5 centimetres or 8.2% narrower at the front, with a reduction of 3 centimetres or 7.4% at the rear. There will also be a slight reduction in diameter from the current 72 centimetres to somewhere between 70.5 and 71. On top of that, Pirelli needs to understand the impact on the tyres of the switch between the low drag X mode and the high downforce Z mode, which Pirelli...
Come on. Twitter mode or Russia mode? Is that really so hard to... I know. I need just one sign. Glitter cyan. Glitter cyan.
Motorsport director Mario Isola describes as a challenge. The first test of the 2026 prototype tyres will be in September this year, but how Pirelli can simulate the performance profile and load characteristics of the active aero cars with existing machinery is still up in the air, especially as the reduction in aerodynamic performance means there will be more emphasis than before on mechanical grip, which includes from the tyres. One of the consequences of all these performance factors is that there will not just be a mismatch in the cornering and straight lines.
And the more funny thing, all this stuff, will Mercedes succeed with this or not? Probably not, but there is a lot of copium, and people believe the engine will be so good so they don't need to make a good car.
Speeds of the 2026 cars, but the overall outcome will be a significant net performance loss. In other words, how much faster the cars are on the straights won't mean as much lap time gained as what is lost in the corners. One worry is that this risks reducing F1's lap time advantage over the Formula 2 feeder series to as small as a few seconds, which would also leave F1 vulnerable to being surpassed by other top-level series in terms of pure performance. Given one of F1's calling cards,
that will be, I mean, maybe bad,
is being the pinnacle of motorsport, this is significant. Tombas has actually called those fears accurate based on a snapshot of the draft regulations, but believes that as things evolve, this will be 100% resolved. The FIA is confident there will be clear steps in performance from this point of the regulations, and openly admits it set the bar reasonably low so that the teams can have a say in where the rules are changed. Tombas reckons it will be easy to increase the downforce of these cars with regulatory freedom, so it's probably just a matter of deciding how to get more performance from a floor that's set to be narrower and flatter than now, or avoid devaluing the diffuser as much as is intended in the draft rules.
Få en sub för otroliga 39 kronor med nya Saver subs. Mycket sub, lite
that will probably be over soon. No, one more. But there's
Tele2, obegränsad.
F1 is a complicated business, and that's arguably one of its appeals. But there are concerns that 2026 might just get a little bit too confusing to follow. After all, there's all sorts of new terms to get used to, with X mode, Z mode and manual override being added to the vernacular on top of the well-established terminology and jargon related to hybrid engines. The question is whether that will make F1 less accessible to casual fans. The FIA argues not. When it comes to encouraging young fans, Moncho points to their aptitude for manipulating smartphones as proof they can cope with it. While that might accidentally come across a bit more patronising than intended, you at least understand the point he's making. Tombas accepted that F1 will get a smidgen more complicated, but it is not the proverbial rocket science. That may be true, but there is a lot to be said for coming up with accessible and clear terminology to avoid confusion. The effect of this can only be judged in 2026, but it will be well worth the FIA and F1 giving serious consideration to how this is all badged and presented to the millions watching. Another aspect to consider, potentially even more importantly, is that the greater emphasis on energy management to race strategy will probably merit some explaining during races. F1's already dabbled with making more...
maybe. Men det är somewhat weird, it's sad mode and X mode. But hey, Formula 1, they do what they want. Like fucking have a sprint race. Okay, live
more
and
energy-related
pink.
data available during the broadcast, and a bit more of that would go a long way to ensuring that viewers get the information they need to understand how a more energy-dependent battle is really evolving come 2026.
Oh my god, will it be Formula E race? Lime pink. Nice. purple
One of the pressure
red.
points is an end of June deadline to approve significant parts of the technical and sporting regulations to adhere to the FIA International Sporting Code about how far before a season major rule items need to be published. Once these rules exist though, as we've mentioned, changes can be made as long as there is significant agreement among the teams and other stakeholders. As there are likely differing opinions on various subjects, in an ideal world, the regulations would be...
Oh shit. Let's see, purple, red. I believe this is the... Yep, this is the first one. Let's see. F2. Then doing. Let's see, do I have... Did the screenshots happen? Snooper purple red. Snooper purple. Let's see, how many is that? 9, 12. Snooper purple. Do we have a snooper purple? Snooper purple. Nope. So 12. I believe it's 15 different. So at least 2 more, and then is this done? What is left now? Snooper light.
Fully formed with a final compromise reached before ever getting published. But that's not realistic, has never happened, and will never happen. So while the teams would like more action to be taken before the World Motorsport Council rubber stamps the first issue of these rules by the end of June, the FIA's intention is for them to be published in their most restrictive form and then be opened up later.
So boring.
The logic is that it will be far easier in the next months to start increasing the freedom and change aspects of the regulations that are causing specific problems the teams dislike than the other way around. That's based on assuming the teams will all agree on more freedom and fixes that suit them, whereas if the FIA tried to rein the rules back in from a kinder starting point, there would be more pushback and it would be harder to get changes agreed. Tom Bass's hopes that between the end of June and the start of 2025, which is when teams are allowed to start aerodynamic development work on their 2026 cars, the refinements to the rules will all be approved. But even that doesn't leave a lot.
No. So boring. Purple, red. Time for the spotty sign green. Cyan green. Brown lime. Wait, spotty magenta. brown lime. No. Pink, light gray. Oh shit, we can finish
Lots
it.
of time to get this done, given how long the list of issues seems to be.
True. Man, okay, it's so much information is for me it tells me nothing. Aye, but something that maybe will tell me some stuff is Peter Windsor 2026 F1 car, the ultimate scarf guide by Peter Windsor. So this will probably make more sense than whatever the race does.
The full impression is, you know, it's exactly what I was expecting. It's a, you know, it's a car that's been designed as a whole, with some objectives and with some engineering rigor put into the design process and the planning process. So it's kind of what I expected. I think the thing that I just want to clarify before we kind of go too much further is they haven't released the regs. Everyone's saying the new regulations have been announced. No, they haven't. The FIA have shown us a concept car of what the regulations will be like. The regulations will come out later this month, and there's still more debate and discussion to go into the technical.
And then we maybe know after that where and then we go. Orange, light blue. Orange, light blue, nice. Black, red. No. Green, lime. Green, lime. Nice. Green, lime. Blue, brown. Blue, nice. Blue, brown, and then a sun streak left. Brown, orange. Nice. And then gray, red. No. Okay, how many will that be? There's 6, 12, 18. And that's somewhat nice. Minus 18. Now the boring stuff left. Go through every fish again to make sure I didn't make any mistake.
Regulations and the sporting regulations, which will underline how some of these new technical features on the car will work. So this really is just a sort of a taster of what's going to be coming up rather than the actual detail. In fact, of the rendered model that we've seen in some of the CAD models, you see there are actually technical differences between them. So, you know, it's not entirely clear exactly what's happening, but overall, I'm, you know, really comforted by the fact that we've got, you know, a really joined up idea here. However, a lot of the reporting around this has been very negative and slightly misinformed, suggesting that we have the engine regs and then they had to change the chassis regs to meet this, you know, somehow compromised engine. And while, yes, the engine's compromised, it's not, the whole thing has been designed in one go. It's just that they had to release the engine regs so much earlier because obviously it takes a much longer time to develop a power unit than it does for the chassis. So yeah, I mean, I think we're on the right path here, and that's good.
Question I'm dying to ask, and I'll ask you, if not, anybody else that we can talk to, engineers, but how are they going to save all that weight with the additional batteries they're going to need?
Probably can't, but who cares?
On that car for 50% electrification. Where does the weight saving come from? I understand that the car's smaller dimensionally, but that can't be the major factor in the amount of weight they're trying to save, surely.
No, I mean, I think this is one of the big questions, and I know some of the teams have made some noises about this already. Yeah, the car is slightly smaller, but when we look back at when the 2022 regulations came in, Sauber, Alfa Romeo made a car that was 10 centimeters shorter and saved about 10 kilograms. So you are going to save some by just having simply a smaller car. Now, we don't know what safety changes have been brought in with the new rules yet, because that tends to add weight as well. And the new power unit is going to be significantly heavier. So, yeah, there is a challenge. And again, I think we're going to see a lot of black cars in 2026.
No more fucking black cars. I mean, one thing I would say is something good that can maybe happen. Lotus, they did the cars in black, so they would actually look really good as like a black car.
With just some flashes of colour, as teams do everything they can to save weight. That's going to be one of the biggest design challenges, other than getting to understand the new aerodynamics.
It's, as you say, correctly say, obviously, that every time there's a safety improvement, it tends to put on weight. So it would seem, I don't know whether you would agree with this, that it's quite ambitious at this stage to come up with a number that will be the minimum weight for that car so far ahead of 26. Given, I mean, how many unknowns are there in terms of battery technology and what the batteries are actually going to weigh by 2026? How fast is the Formula One technology world going to move now in order to make batteries last longer and be lighter and be more recyclable if possible?
Well, in terms of the weight of the battery, that is set as a minimum. So I can't remember the exact figure. I think it was something like 30 kilograms up from around 20. Off the top of my head, I stand to be corrected on that. The battery will be bigger, but the technology that's already inside these batteries, as much as it goes, hugely unspoken about by the teams and the manufacturers, which I think is a travesty, because it's, they are absolutely incredible. Anyone that's into RC cars and knows, that the batteries that go into them are incredibly powerful, very high C rates. Formula One battery, surpasses all of that technology by, like tenfold. So I don't think I think of all of this, the power unit development will probably be the thing that is the least in terms of question that we're going to get there. Now you see lots of people reporting in the media that all the different manufacturers, and someone's ahead and someone's behind, and stating
hopefully Mercedes is behind and will make bad cars again, or even more funny if they are good and better than Ferrari. Then Lewis Hamilton can look how good the team is now when he's left.
Horsepower differences between these different power units, which has to be complete rubbish. Unless you've gone in and spied in all of the different manufacturers, how would you ever know? But I think certainly the big three of Ferrari, Mercedes, and
Red Bull,
either Honda or Red Bull, which have parted ways. We'll have Audi coming into the mix as well. But I think the sort of those big three, I think they will probably be on a par with each other. I think Audi, Alpine would be the bigger question mark, and I just don't think the power unit is going to be the big issue here. They've got the battery to contend with, got the different fuel to contend with, and different ways of operating the engine. But I don't think that's going to be a problem. The weight of the engine has gone up, and for me, this is again one of the things where I think we've kind of gone wrong. Everyone's going to blame the new 50-50 electric to combustion ratio, which is obviously up massively from like 80-20 that it is now, on the increase in weight. But they've now given, the current engines are about 150 kilograms, the whole power unit, everything included. That's going to go up to 180, which is a big jump. 30 kilograms is a big lump. while we're still maintaining the 1,000 horsepower, which is still incredible. But when you actually break that down, the combustion engine with its turbo will weigh 130 kilograms.
Nice, we have done this thing again, and yeah, let's bring how many count again? 6, 12, 15, no 12, 16, 18. Can that be right? 6, 10, 16, 18. Yeah, and then plus 10. Not plus 10, plus 1. Because we have this one. So 19. Go away. 1,530, 20. Let's see, 19. 7. The 23. Yeah, 23. 19 minus 39 is 20. 20 plus 1,503 is 23. Minus 19. Mm-hmm. Now let's go and place them down.
Now, that's a massive amount for a tiny, 48 centimeters long, 1.6 litre V6, weighing 130 kilograms. It's ridiculous. It's almost into production car weights. And I think this is where we're starting to go wrong. And everyone is...
Wait. Don't make them heavier. Make them less heavier.
Saying, well, but the old V10s used to weigh like 80 kilograms. That they were allowed to because they were able to really shrink down. Those first V10s that came out and the V12s that came out in the late 80s, early 90s, they weighed 130 kilograms. Some of the kind of the Haas and the Yamaha and the TWR engines that were heavy, not the big manufacturers. So suddenly having a tiny V6 combustion engine that weighs as much as a 80s V12 is absurd. So it's not, this weight increase isn't to do necessarily with the hybrid package, which actually still
yellow
comes in now at sort of 50 kilograms for 500 horsepower. I think that's pretty good value in terms of power to weight to size. So yeah, I think let's not concern ourselves too much about the combustion engine. There's lots of talk about that the combustion engine won't have, the power unit won't have enough energy to last along the straights. And it's right, yeah, we probably won't be able to recover enough energy because we don't have, front regenerative braking on these cars, which was one of the things that was missed in the regulations by that kind of committee of the manufacturers that said, some teams want it, some teams don't.
Can I stop you there? Can I stop you there, Seb? Why would anybody not want that?
The power unit regulations, as we know, had lots of different manufacturers involved, not just incumbent manufacturers, but also Audi and Porsche and a few others. And
where the fuck is Porsche still in this talk? Hopefully they will join Williams in the future. But okay, interesting. Porsche is still talking.
The incumbents who are used to having, what we describe as the current package, thought that if Audi or Porsche came in with their recent WEC LMP1H experience, have front MG UKs, which were recovering energy and also deploying energy in a category, they would have an advantage. So they decided, okay, we won't have the front MG UK recovering energy, which is ridiculous because you think of how much those front brakes can do.
It's also nonsense
light
overheading.
Grey flopper. One more fish for the collection.
Of the FIA and Liberty constantly beating the drum and saying we want more manufacturers to come into the sport. And the minute they come in, they say, oh, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, because you might have an advantage because you've been racing sports cars. It's absolutely insane.
True.
Yeah, it is. You know, and I think it's a big...
Or the Cadillac stuff. Can't have that. Andretti. We have Visa, Cash App, RB, Formula 1 team, and Kick. Stake, F1 team, Kick, Sauber.
Opportunity that was missed, even if they didn't actually use the front MGU to deploy to create the four-wheel drive, which again, a lot of people have something about Formula 1 has to be rear-wheel drive, and I'm not that fussed. But
having just watched the Rally of Portugal, I'm totally into four-wheel drive. Thank you very much.
Exactly. But the flip side is obviously Audi and Porsche and other manufacturers came and says, well, hold on, we've got to develop an MGU-H, which is the hybrid system attached to the turbo, which is what Honda had so many problems with when they came in a year late to these regulations. So that's been dropped as well. So we've ended up with a kind of a camel of an engine where, you know, the committee have designed it and it's not really meeting anybody's needs in the perfect way. But, you know, that's what everyone's agreed. So that's what we're running with. And, you know, the chassis will complement that rather than having to adapt to make.
And hopefully Mercedes will not succeed with that, but who knows?
Cut for that.
Make a good point also about the V12 and V10s. Let me ask you this. What is the fuel tank comparison size between, say, that of a normally aspirated V12 back in the day and the fuel tank of the 26 car, which presumably is smaller, right, than the current car because it's only 50% power?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a big difference in the amount of fuel and the weight, therefore, in that area of the car.
Yeah, so, I mean, often when I talk about car weights, I would typically describe it as the car's starting weight, which is the car with everything, plus a tank of fuel and the driver on board. And that's a good way of comparing them. The current fuel tank is 110 kilograms. I think it's going to go down, this isn't in the regulations yet, but it's probably going to be somewhere around the 80 kilogram mark, maybe plus 10 kilograms either way. So it's, you know, a big reduction in weight again. I was actually told a few weeks ago that when we had the V10s and refueling, at Monza, they would actually get through 240 kilograms of fuel, but that's how much fuel those cars were using. So when everyone says, oh, you know, let's go back to the old days, unless you have refueling, you're going to have a fuel tank 3 times the size of...
There will be something. They go back to that engine, and then you need to have that bigger tank, so you can drive with that fuel mileage in the race. That would be fun.
The current fuel tanks to accommodate every race without refueling, and I don't think many of us would ever want to see refueling come back. Certainly in an age where we're trying to push the sustainability message, seeing the car coming in and having to add fuel is, you know, quite a negative message. So, you know, these cars will be so efficient, and I think this is the kind of the aim that FIA has gone for, and actually the whole package is make a more efficient car, and that really then starts to come back into the chassis regulations as well.
Scarbs, is there life beyond carbon fiber, also in terms of strength or weight? And does the 26 car incorporate new materials in that respect, do you think?
There's nothing specific in the regulations. Carbon fiber for certain parts of the car is still absolutely the de facto material that you want to be using. In terms of, you know, its stiffness for its weight, it's just way more efficient than anything else, and you can get the shapes, and it's relatively easy to manufacture. We're starting to see 3D printing of metals and other materials be used much more throughout the car.
Oh, shit.
And replacing
3D printing metal details. That's interesting.
Some of the trickier parts that were much more tricky to make in carbon fiber. Equally, they're starting to use different manufacturing techniques. So rather than hand lay up, they're actually able to, if I use the word 3D print, it's oversimplifying it, but you can actually have machines lay up carbon fiber parts now. Slightly different in some of their material qualities of standard woven carbon fiber, but all the same, it opens up other opportunities. So I don't think these regulations necessarily open the avenues, but most of those avenues are down to the teams opening them themselves. There's very few restrictions on finding some of these materials or the manufacturing techniques to use the materials.
I think 30% they're saying is the reduction in downforce. I guess compared with this year's car, or the 20 or this era of car, what will the actual downforce be relative to prior to 22? And how similar will the car be in terms of where its center of pressure is? And I'm thinking now of ride heights, bouncing and so forth. What will the car be like aerodynamically, do you think?
That will be funny. That Mercedes with the new stuff get a bouncy car again. They can't make the car good with this new
And how much downforce will there be? I mean, is it a massive reduction, or is it just taking us back a little bit from where we were?
I think this is one of the finer points that will be worked out in the final draft of the regulations, but the cars will have a lot less downforce. And that is...
The downforce from the chassis as distinct from the wings, or specific about that?
The wings, it's more from the underfloor. So the underfloor is going to be shorter because the car is shorter. The tunnels are much smaller in this car design. The floor starts a lot further back. You've got a lot of clever shaping around the front of the floor where you see these little barge board devices. So the underfloor is much less powerful. So the balance between floor downforce and wing downforce will be probably closer to what it was back previous to 2022, where you were kind of getting maybe half from the underfloor and half from the wings, sort of a 50-50 split between the front and the rear wings.
Hopefully.
And the front wing is much smaller because it's an in-wash design. That really isn't an issue. You don't have a problem creating downforce from a front wing. That's not the reason we get less downforce. So you're really getting much less from the underfloor. So in theory, the underfloor should be much less sensitive, which means that we shouldn't have some of the problems with bouncing and some of the balance issues that we've seen with the teams. Particularly people like Mercedes really struggling to get these cars to work super close to the floor. However, because the teams will always try and make the floor work as hard as they possibly can, the question is, how much harder are they going to really work with the suspension and super low ride heights to get?
Yeah, and will Mercedes still have problems? I mean, that would be so funny if they actually do. Let's see, 2022, of the 4 years, there's still problems to make a good car.
The most out of this floor, and that kind of goes back to the pre-94 days where the cars were literally flat to the ground, and that always will create problems for the cars. So it depends how the teams go about developing performance from these cars. Now the other thing is that we've got these new Z mode and X modes.
The Twitter mode or the Russia mode
on the car, so that you'll have a kind of a whole car DRS where both the front wing, the rear wing will open on the straights to give you that boost of speed, that increase in aerodynamic efficiency along the straights. What that means is, if you know that you're going to open your wings on the straights, then you can run basically full downforce from those wings at every circuit, because as soon as you get in a straight enough line, that you can open the wings up. So you may actually find that the teams could switch a bit of focus now to actually maximising wing performance as much as floor, because it's been a bit of a kind of a secondary consideration because they've always been largely fixed in their geometry. So there is that change as well. And the other thing that's going to make a change to the car's cornering performance is tyres. And this will happen in two ways. The tyres are going to be slightly narrower, so you're going to have less tread width, less contact patch area with the tarmac, but the cars are also narrower, and that means that you get a little bit more weight transfer, which means that your inside wheels will always be doing slightly less work through corners.
What? So the front tires will be smaller and back.
So you're losing a lot of tyre performance through this as well. Of course, you can recover tyre performance really easily by, playing with the tyre construction and the compounds and how much the FA want the tyres to degrade. So you could actually end up with what you had back in the 90s, where you have a tyre that really can be run flat out for a stint before you change it for the next one, which I hope we get to. We don't get too much degradation with these tyres, and they're not too sensitive to sliding like we've had with some of the recent Pirellis. So there's lots of different factors that are going to go into the mix to see how these cars will work, but they will definitely generate lap time in a very different way to the current cars, because it's going to be much more straight line speed, a lot less cornering speed, at least initially.
The current car ethos, of course, was to make it easier to overtake the car in front, and now that has gone away, they're doing that with all these other ways, with the active aero, with the engine boost.
That would be so fucking funny if this new thing they're trying will make it even worse. They're trying so hard to make it good to overtake, and then they just now even worse.
Boost as well, which is kind of admitting defeat, really. But anyway, we'll put that to one side.
I don't agree with that, to be honest, Peter. I mean, I think one of the things that hasn't really been discussed with these new cars so far that I've seen in the media and the official releases is that the aerodynamic concept of the car itself, in terms of ignoring all the active and the clever stuff, is significantly different to 2022 regs, and it's significantly different to everything that went before. So we now have what you would describe as an in-wash aerodynamic car. So if we think back to sort of 2019, the peak of the previous regulations, everything on the car was trying to create outwash. You were trying to push all the dirty air off the wings, off the tyres, and push it as far away from the car as you can, so that running down the middle of the car, you got super clean air. And that meant that the car worked really efficiently, but created a huge dirty wake for the car behind, made it hard for the car to follow. 2022 came, and what they tried to do is, still with a degree of outwash, but just tried to keep that much more in a straight line. So it was almost like a parallel wash rather than in or out wash. And that worked really well. I mean, I think we can say that we have seen cars able to follow much closer, particularly in groups. And there are other issues that may prevent overtaking, such as DRS trains and and tyre strategies.
But fucking DRS train, that's so boring. Like that it can actually happen.
Certainly these cars produce much less wake, which made the following car easier to follow the previous car. This new reg, you can see in the front wing that the front wing is pushing all the airflow inside the front wheels, and then those barge board devices that I pointed out at the front of the side pods on the floor are equally grabbing that tyre wake and pushing it in through and passing basically where you wanted clean air going. You're now going to have all the dirty air. So the concept for the current car is basically to eat its own turbulence, which means that when you come to the wake behind the car, the wake is much, much smaller. And because the car's always running in its own turbulence, it should be much less sensitive to following in another car's wake. So these cars should be, again, almost, some of the technology is going back to I'm trying to think of what year that would be, pre-2009, when the outwash sort of concept really came in with those changing regulations. So these cars are going back to the aerodynamic philosophy, and not quite the size and shape of those cars, but going back to kind of the 2000s, which I think a lot of people have a soft spot for in terms of those cars as another sweet spot in the design and performance of these cars.
Okay, point taken. So what you're really saying is that this car is using some of the data and understanding of the current cars in order to improve the whole business of making it. Okay, point taken. How quick are these cars potentially on the straight? We take a straight like Baku, for example. Forget about what wing they were running on the rest of the lap, but on that long straight at Baku, completely flat, what sort of top speeds do you think these cars are going to be reaching?
I mean, they're going to be reaching the sort of the typical DRS speeds, because they probably will shed a little bit more drag. They'll probably carry a little bit less drag with them as well, because of the in-wash philosophy. So I don't think it's going to be that significant, because DRS are already super effective. To put it into context, if you ran a Monaco spec wing on a car and then you open DRS, suddenly you've got a car that has got a Monza spec wing on it. So that's the difference DRS already gives you. So these new regulations aren't going to open up a huge amount of benefit in that respect. They're still going to have 1,000 horsepower. So I think you're talking maybe 10 horsepower improvement. Sorry, 10 horsepower. Sorry.
Okay, but then let's
10 miles per hour improvement.
Okay, but let's quantify it another way then. I'm guessing, therefore, that the speed differential between the car in front, which isn't obviously getting any DRS benefit in the new regulations, and the car behind is going to be greater now, because not only has it got the aero benefit, but also the power benefit. So the speed differentials are going to go up, correct?
Exactly. So the overtaking potential of the car is improved because you will have that massive DRS effect, but done with the X mode engaged, where the wings will open front and rear, and you have that increase in engine performance as well. So overtaking, and again, we don't know the sport and regulations that will underpin this in detail yet, but yes, there will be a much bigger.
So the DRS can be gonna then make even more. I mean, some people don't like how some people can just do an easy DRS overtake. Can't this make it even more easily? The new era of Max Verstappen even more easily can overtake people.
DRS effect with the combined effect.
Yeah. What about brakes? Anything happening on brakes? I know you've been with the Brembo people this weekend as well. How do they think about 26 and what's going on there?
Well, as far as I can see at the moment, I don't believe there's any brake regulation changes. Again, we haven't seen the regulations, we've just seen the concept car. I don't think there's any significant. One of the things that they did really well with the change in regulations for 2022 was to make the brakes slightly larger, which gives you slightly better cooling, slightly better brake torque to decelerate. But also the brake calipers, which are such a team design thing, have now become open source, and everyone else can see what everyone else is doing with their brakes. So brake development has kind of plateaued a little bit, and I don't feel that we need in any big changes in the brakes. Remembering that when you go from X mode with the wings flattened on the straights to having both your front and rear wings come up, you're going to have a huge increase in drag suddenly. So even without the torque of the brakes decelerating the car, just going back to Z mode with the wings engaged is really going to slow that car down enormously. Probably if there's a corner where you would maybe only just lift, you may actually just keep flat out, but just deploy the wings back to the normal position, and that will give you the deceleration that you need.
That nomenclature you're using sounds really cool, Scarb. Let's just go through it. Z mode is back to square one, is that right?
So
the Russia mode and the Twitter mode,
and this is all to do with what they call Cartesian coordinates, which I never understood when they said that word. It's basically what you use in CAD. So in CAD you have an X, Y, and a Z axis.
Yeah.
And if you remember, we used to talk about Y250 and the Y100 wing at the back of the car. Y is going laterally away from the car. That's that plane. Z is height. So when you think about downforce, it's operating down through the car in that Z axis. So when you look at what your coefficient of downforce is, it's CZ. And so Z mode is when you've got your wings deployed, maximum downforce. And that's what you have for the corners. And then on the straights, you have X mode. Now, X is going along the car's center line. And again, so the car's length is in that direction. And the coefficient of drag, which works in that direction as well, is CX. So when you're in X mode, you'll have the wings flattened, and you're going to have maximum speed on the straights. So this is what they've decided to use them rather than some other sort of nomenclature. And the power boost is going to be where you get that overtaking boost, which is kind of a push to pass technology that they'll deploy with these turbo engines.
And there's still going to be KERS, whatever, of some description, obviously. And they're still going to call it that?
As far as I know, it's still going to be called ERS-K. So the hybrid, there used to be, currently there's two hybrids. There's the one on the turbo, ERS-H, that's deleted now. And you have ERS-K, which is the MGU-K, which is attached directly to the crankshaft via gears. So that will become more powerful now. So that's effectively going from 160 horsepower to 500. So this is, even above Formula E levels of performance in terms of a motor. It will still be tiny, it will be like the sort of a large roll of kitchen roll that you would have in your kitchen to wipe your hands, or maybe that blue stuff you use in the workshop. So it will still be a tiny motor, but now it has to be attached to the front of the engine. Currently it sits at the side of the engine, so that it's housed within the survival cell, so that potentially if there's an accident, you don't have a big lump of electrical equipment, flying around as debris, which again is all very sensible. And the weight for that has increased slightly. The whole hybrid package will be 50 kilograms. So 50 kilograms, 500 horsepower. Yeah. I wish my road car had that level of power to weight performance from its engine. I'd probably be lucky if I got 50 horsepower. So yeah, so we will still have that, and you will only recover energy now under braking, which is, as we were discussing earlier, is going to be the big limitation. Some circuits where you don't have a lot of braking, I think.
So, a lot of braking. What kind of...
Silverstone is always one of the classic examples.
No memory of how the Silverstone is looking. But, well, maybe. Wait, did you say not a lot of braking? Huh, maybe you don't brake a lot on Silverstone. I have no memory of if that's true. For sure.
Examples quite restrictive in terms of regenerative braking. The teams are going to be struggling to work out how to get enough energy back into the battery in order to...
Yeah, if you're not braking, that could be somewhat a problem. Yeah, right. Or otherwise you can see it really funny. Will a lot of teams have problems because they're not braking, so they need to brake more than they... In corners that they don't want to brake, they need to brake to still have some power in the car. I mean, they can make races interesting. Or a yoke in Formula 1. That happened.
Have the car running along the straights. Now you can actually, under the new rules, actually charge the battery on the straights. So when you're at wide open throttle, you could actually engage the MGU slightly to actually start to charge. And lots of road cars have this. I drove a Porsche Panamera. I know the BMW have the technology as well, that you can, quite efficiently slowly charge the battery in a straight line, just to give you that availability of energy when you come to the next acceleration zone.
I'm assuming 8-speed gearbox is still an active diffs?
Gearbox is already super light anyway, but there is a minimum weight now, so teams can't.
Minimal weight? I mean, that's... Hopefully more stuff will be minimum weight. Or that maybe doesn't make any difference. But the minimum weight is lower than it was before.
Take loads of weight out of the gearbox like they used to in the 2000s.
Yeah. Take off weight and make stuff simpler so it weighs less.
The gearbox is also limited in its length as well. So be 7-speed gearbox, but with the availability of the electric torque from the MGU-K, and the experience we've had of having these hybrid cars with 8-speed gearboxes, you don't really need that 8th gear. It's quite easy for the teams now to be able to predict their gear ratios and not suffer like you would have had in the old days, where the work of Friday and Saturday in the DFE days is all about finding that perfect gear ratio to make the most of it. It's with that, there hasn't been a debate for over a decade.
Even though they can't change ratios more than once a year, I think now it's only in mid-season.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Wait, what? Okay, this I know nothing about, but man, is that true? Sounds amazing. You do it once a year and that's good enough.
Yeah, the Joker has been removed from the regulations mostly for most of the years that we've run these 8-speed gearboxes and fixed ratios. It's just not an issue. Differentials will remain exactly the same. They're not technically active, but we know that the differential is one of the key tuning devices for the car's handling to get it to rotate into corners, and you see the drivers playing with the buttons on the steering wheel and, you know, diff settings flashing up on the dash.
Playing with the buttons like George Russell did in... what race was that? When he crashed out. One more fish for the collection. A dash of grey rat. Let's see, what was it? Australia? It must be in Australia. When he played with the buttons and then didn't look at what Alonso did, and then he it's called results. Let's see, do we have... Oh my god, Lewis Hamilton false. Man, that was a great race for Mercedes. Australia. Russell crashed out in the last, almost the last lap. Let's see, 26. Okay, almost the last lap. And then Lewis Hamilton 15 laps in DNF.
Dash all the time. That will remain as it is. There's no real change in that respect.
My one, well, not one, but at the moment, my one regret is that they haven't gone to active ride. I think that would have been so appropriate given the cars of today and the way automotive technology is going and the way Formula 1...
Oh, the active ride isn't talking about the Williams epic stuff that they have to remove, and then after Senna then crashed. Is that epic stuff?
One would now have handled active ride, particularly if the whole key to it is going to be running as low as possible again. Well, it always is, isn't it? Then it would have been so nice to have seen that, but obviously that's... I guess they just thought it was too expensive, too complicated as ever. Or not invented.
I don't know. I think it's a case of let's decide where we want to push, you know, the development and the team's budgets. I agree. Active ride really should come back to Formula 1. And, you know, we're still kind of stuck in that hangover, you know, post 94.
Oh my god. If they never removed it, who knows? Arthur Senna would maybe be alive, won the championship. Oh shit, he could have won maybe the next year also. Maybe it will be an Arthur Senna Williams domination instead of than Ferrari, or somewhat McLaren and then Ferrari.
Or with all the active devices being banned, and
oh my god, how much money, man! If they were kept winning after I think 1997, what could the Williams been? What could the team have been? Also, one more fish for the collection. Hopefully, with James Wow's help and hopefully Andrew New joins Williams, the Williams team can do a comeback. But that's just dreams.
One of that is, funny enough, is actually the steering. The steering rack still has to be, although it's hydraulically assisted, it still has to have a mechanical power assistance valve on it. It can't have an electronic one. And as we've proven with the, you know, with what you would describe as the active diff, with the electronic diff, with regulations and the standard ECU in sensors, you can have electronic devices now that you can monitor and prevent teams doing things that you don't want them to, which was, you know, part
like maybe Benetton did with Michael Schumacher. That it never got proven that they did something, but weird stuff maybe happened. And yeah, maybe.
part of the reason both of those were banned. In terms of it being cost, the cost that the teams used to put into their previous passive mechanical suspensions pre-2022 was enormous. And I know we've discussed this in the past. Yeah, the collapsible heave springs would be completely redesigned every year, needed to be reset up for every circuit with different springs, different gas pressures. That all got banned along with Unity for 2022.
Still, I've now collected. What was it? No, wrong. No, right button, but wrong. Let's see. I collected 31. No, 31, 39. Then we have 6, 12, 13, 14, 14, 40, 53. 53 different tropical fishes, and we got 1 salmon. I mean, that says something how rare finding a salmon here is. It's so weird. Why is that so rare to find here? I have cod. I have a lot of fucking puffer fish. A lot of tropical fish, but salmon, no. That one. That's rare.
And teams, as we know, have developed and spent a huge amount of money trying to get the suspension, which is now a very simple passive mechanical suspension, to do what they want it to do, to prevent poor ride, to prevent porpoising and bouncing. So having active would probably end up being overall a cost saving.
Oh shit, Mercedes-Benz can make a great car if they don't need to care about the ride height. Or maybe it will make the car even worse.
Yeah. Because as much as there is an initial investment in the development of getting it up and running, because of, there's very few people probably left in the teams that were around in the early 90s.
Hype! Time to collect some more salmon fishes. Okay, 2 more. Let's see. Nope. We don't need. Let's move that one to this place.
Is when active suspension was all new, and technology itself has moved on, and vehicle dynamics, understand, has moved on massively since then. But in terms of the equipment, you've already got the hydraulic control system on the car. It wouldn't be difficult to make that able to support active ride. Where the expense would be the actual actuators that act as the springs and the dampers. So who went out and found a spec supplier for them, which could even be one of the teams. Red Bull, McLaren, lots of the teams provide parts to every other team as part of the ongoing regulations. So having a standard actuator, we could actually go to active ride quite cheaply and effectively, and your overall R&D cost of having to develop that car year on year and from circuit to circuit would suddenly become.
I mean, the only problem I would see with the active ride is probably still the reason why they removed it, for the safety or something. Somewhat ironic. They took it away because of safety, and then Artisana crashed because of it got them removed almost. So
becomes so much easier, and it wouldn't become like it was in the 90s, some kind of driver raid or some kind of magic carpet ride, because as I say, we have the ability to monitor it and say this is all you can do with the suspension, rather than messing around with the detail engineer of mechanical parts. You just flick a dial or change a piece of code.
Absolutely. And if they're going to make it that easy to overtake, and they're constantly doing that, why not make it easy for the car to ride over the curbs and the bumps as well? I mean, it's...
Yeah, that would be something. Maybe fix that also.
Why not? There's no...
Artisanal active ride, Lotus 99 200. Man, that would be so amazing if Alpine is planning to sell the team. That Geely buys it up and brings Lotus back into Formula 1. And I don't know what team it was before. I think it was it Benetton, then Renault, then Lotus, then back to Renault, then Alpine. Or more or less Lotus team. I think the Lotus, when the actually was good, have no, Team Lotus was the good years. Lotus F1 was the bad years.
Logic in separating the two, really.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, but again, I think it was just a case of, you know, let's focus on certain facets, and maybe that will come in the future. I know whenever I've spoken to any engineer in the sport, they've always wanted it to come back, but there's never been that groundswell of opinion to kind of just push it over the line at the end.
Self-starter?
Self-starter is standard now. You know, you very rarely see a car being started with the external starter being pushed in to the back of the diffuser. Mercedes were the last engine manufacturer, power unit manufacturer to make their car self-starting. And even in the garage now, where it would be quite easy for you to insert the starter, you know, they start on the MGU K. Now, that was a 180 horsepower starter motor. They've now got a 500 horsepower starter motor. So even with a super hot engine, you know, stalled on the straight, you know, after a big spin, that engine will spin over, probably even if it had seized with the power of the MGUK acting as a starter motor now. And I think that was just one of those really clever things. We won't have pit lane electric, which I think is a bit of a shame because of the way that the architecture of the engine has worked. And I can't see that ever coming in under the current power or the upcoming power unit regulations. Maybe it's something I might want to consider for the future. IndyCar are going to be going that way with their new hybrid package, but with it being a series setup, it won't happen, which, you know, I think is a shame. Would be something pretty cool to see.
And finally, Scabs, I'm assuming it's McLaren Applied doing all the ECU
Final
and
stuff?
all the electronics, correct?
So there will be a new ECU.
Wait, what did it say about McLaren?
Regulations. Maybe it's something I might want to consider for the future. IndyCar are going to be going that way with their new hybrid package, but with it being a series setup, it won't happen, which, you know, I think is a shame. Would be something pretty cool to see.
And finally, Scabs, I'm assuming it's McLaren Applied doing all the ECU and all the electronics, correct?
For Formula 1 or what?
So there will be a new ECU. There's a new specification for 2026. And this same ECU will look after both the power unit and all the chassis functions. Currently, it's McLaren Applied, who have been providing it since, wow.
Wait, so that, what the fuck, McLaren Applied, is that really a name? McLaren Applied. McLaren Applied. Fuck is this? McLaren Applied. Let's see. Nope, wrong thing. We need to change that. Yeah, we have it. McLaren Applied. What can I... I wanna see... Remember here? I want to have a bigger McLaren Apply logo. About. Okay, so that's actually a thing. When he said McLaren Applied, I thought McLaren, he was talking about McLaren. They applied something, or they will apply for Formula 1, but no. The name is actually McLaren Applied.
What was it, going back now, 2006? I guess that they'll probably have the tender for this. I don't know if it's been published anywhere, but yeah, that would be a good guess. And I know that they've been developing an ECU ready for this, and all of the other bits that go around it, because you know the ECU is one part, but then you have lots of interfaces to the engine, interfaces into the chassis, plus all of the parts that come from all these other different manufacturers, and some of them being McLaren Applied as well. So yeah, there is a real suite of electronics on these cars from all sorts of sources. Some that seems are free to buy themselves, some that are specified by the FIA, and you have to buy from certain manufacturers, such as McLaren Applied, such as BF1 for the tyre temperature, pressure sensors in the wheels. So that will be another step forwards, and the teams will have to decide how they package this within the confines of what will be a much smaller car.
Brilliant. Well, send over some sketches of what you think it's all going to look like.
Yes, I've got to get to the drawing board. That's the next step.
Brilliant. Look forward to those. Thanks so much, Scarbs, again, for your time and your input.
Oh,
thanks, Pete.
Fuck me. 2 more. Okay, that's over. Let's see. I want to see if I think I already done that. Yep. Let's see. Maybe sounds good. Let's see. Can I should be able. If we go back to McLaren Apply, then we change to this one. Let's see, can I need to be in if we go that, and then we want to see if that works. Yeah, so we see at least he's throwing. I want to see if somewhat. Okay, let's see if I can get a trident from this. I want to see if I can get one more screenshot. Is this a better one? A better one? Yeah, you can see a trident, yeah. Okay, let's see if I can get a trident. No trident. Man, I hate the... Oh, trident! Fucking pink. Eller purple. That's weird. I want to... Huh. Pink. Let's see. Yeah, also pink. God damn it, I just placed. Well, that sucks. I can place it here. Okay. Hey, there was something nice ending. Getting a trident. And this will be the last. What do you call it? Last lap to swim around the base. No more fish for the collection. Come on, dolphin. Look at me. Let's see. Can it be one more? One more fish for the collection. Can we see any more? Does that look like that? Okay, let's go back. So we can end it. Oh, yeah, we can actually have them. Man, it's so weird to hear so much water dropping here. Oh, too high up. No. Dear rabbit. This will pick up. And let's see, 1523. Let's write that down. 1000. What do I have it? 20. 1523 fishes collected. 1000. So it's 23, 7, 77, 77, 177 more left to get to 1700, and then it's just 1000 tropical fish left to collect. Let's see. What can happen? One day maybe the F1 Nation podcast will be listened to, but not today. I mean, it's Formula... Well, tomorrow it will be Formula Week. So maybe then more Formula 1 stuff will happen. Maybe some minicar stuff. I don't know.